Reliant, PUCT number 10007.
This is the Dallas Cowboys Pepsi postgame show. Pepsi, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Now, here's Zach Wolchuk and Bryan Broaddus.
1st and 5. And off Cook on the right side. Look at him. 10, 5, stroll in. That was just way too easy. That was like practice against air. 24 on the touchdown run for James Cook. The Cowboys are being thoroughly embarrassed.
Woo. They sure were thoroughly embarrassed there, Brad. Sham, 31-10. Bills beat the Cowboys in Buffalo. Zach Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Bryan Broaddus. Cowboys now 10-4. They fall to 3-4 on the road. Bills improved to 8-6. They're 6-2 at home this season. James Cook, first player with 200 scrimmage yards and 2 touchdowns versus the Cowboys since Alfred Morris did it in December of 2012. That was the storyline. Yep. How about that?
I used to work with Alfred. Alfred used to come up to my office and steal candy at a candy jar up there. Alfred, one of the nicest human beings in the world. Really good back, too.
He was, and he had some good time with the Cowboys as well. But, I mean, that was definitely the storyline. 3 rushing touchdowns in the first half for Buffalo. Murray scored the first. Cook got the second on a pass, I should say, from Josh Allen. But certainly they ran the ball down there. Then Josh Allen got a 1-yard touchdown in the second half. You thought maybe we'd see a little bit of fight from the Cowboys.
Not at all.
Not at all. Yeah. I mean, they seemed like they were ready to just hit the play, and they did score with CeeDee Lamb getting that rushing touchdown at the end. James Cook had a 24-yarder, which you just heard there. That's how it got to 31-10. You did get a Brandon Aubrey field goal, but my goodness, that run defense, we had talked about it leading up to this week.
Yeah.
Bills had shown more of a commitment to the run. James Cook had also gotten involved in the passing game. But without Jonathan Hankins, with a variety of injuries today, the Cowboys really could not stop them at all as they ran for 266 yards as a team.
It really wasn't all about Hankins being out. They just, you always talk about why there's so much space, and they didn't get off blocks very well today. They didn't fill very well. When they had a chance to tackle in space, they missed. Deone Clark, I'm talking about him in a way. He got caught in a coverage situation that ended up in a touchdown, had a couple of missed tackles along the way. Teams are going to run the ball on Dallas because they play with light players at linebacker. Mm-hmm. It's just, they're a better team, and I think Greg Olsen makes an excellent point. It's a team that's built to play ahead.
Yes.
And, Hankins does help your run defense. But if you look at where the runs were, it was perimeter runs.
Yeah, a lot of them were the edge. They set the edge, and the Cowboys had no answer for it.
Usually Tank's pretty good at that stuff. Usually, when we'll see with Micah, we'll watch that, and we always talk about watching the tape, but that's how you really learn. That's how you learn what the problems are. But there were a lot of blue jerseys plastered on white jerseys today, and they couldn't get off. And then when they had a chance to support the run, missed tackles.
Yep. Tackling was really bad.
Tackle was really bad today, and you can't tackle poorly against this Buffalo Bill team because you saw exactly what happened.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned how the team's built defensively. They have a lot of hybrid players. You've got kind of safeties playing linebacker and a Marquise Bell. Certainly this is probably the biggest loss that they've had since the San Francisco game in terms of margin of defeat.
Yeah.
The Philly game was close. At least they fought in that one. But a physical team. And are they built to beat a physical team? I would say no. I mean, that seems to be the Cowboys' kryptonite right now. A team that's going to smash you at both lines of scrimmage, and they want to run the ball down your throat. And you're going to play two teams. Now, I wouldn't say Miami's a physical team, but their run scheme's brilliant.
Yeah.
And Detroit is a physical team.
Miami, when they look at this tape, they have no reason not to run the football. I personally, this is the problem that Dallas is going to deal with now throughout, these games coming up, is that someone's going to be, you have to be committed, but you have to, if you're going to run the ball and you have success at it, you got to be able to score. I got to give Buffalo's defense a lot of credit too. There was, we talked about it at halftime. If you believe in the metrics and all that, they were one of these teams that, when you talked about tight window throws, they were near the bottom of the league. You talk about wide open throws, they were near the bottom of the league. And I'm talking about the way that they play their coverage. And, boy, I'll tell you what, this was very reminiscent of San Francisco to me in the way that Dallas's receivers and tight ends didn't win. And maybe it's one of those things where you look back tomorrow, it's going to be like predominantly the Buffalo Bills played 80% zone coverage, and they rushed 4 and dropped 7, and Dak had a bad day of trying to read, and maybe the route combinations weren't creating opportunities for them. But there was a lot of bad on both sides of the ball, and there was bad on special teams. Sam Williams, you win off the line of scrimmage. You've got to block that kick. If you block the kick and then fly into the punter, it's not roughing the punter. That could have been a huge play that could have turned things around a little bit for Dallas. Maybe Buffalo comes out in the second. Maybe they just continue to do what they're doing. But at that point in time, that was a huge play. You were free. You had a chance to block that punt, and your technique was awful. And you, for some reason, you instead of getting big and extending, you got small. And by getting small, then you go into the punter, and then they get the roughing the penalty. They get the roughing the punter. There were
some huge plays in the first half of this one that really kind of swung the game. You mentioned that. Massive. I mean, that extends a drive. Buffalo scores on it. Opening drive, Cowboys get off the field on third down. DeMarcus Lawrence gets called. Yeah. Which, I mean, look, ticky-tack call maybe, but he got called. Either way, they end up scoring a touchdown on that. Dak misses Brandon Cooks, who's open, gets behind the secondary on a deep ball, just overthrows him. Then you had the non-challenge where Stephon Diggs fumbles. Now, credit Buffalo. They get up to the line of scrimmage so quickly, and we didn't really get to see a replay. But from our vantage point here, you see Diggs immediately get up. The Cowboys defenders are screaming, hey, he fumbled. Donovan Wilson clearly recovers the fumble. To me, a tough situation maybe for McCarthy to be in. Maybe nobody's calling down from upstairs saying, hey, we saw a replay, you got to challenge it. In that situation, there was 5:13 left to go in the first half. You've got all 3 timeouts. You see your players making that kind of commotion, and Diggs' reaction to run back to the line of scrimmage, and he knows, guys, we got to get a playoff because he's worried that he fumbled. I think you got to just throw the flag there.
Well, the way that the game was going at that point, you really didn't have any momentum. I mean, you're almost gambling right there, but it probably was a gamble, a good gamble, considering what the way the game was going at that point. If you burn the challenge and you burn the timeout because of it, well, so be it. But man, nothing really going right. That could have turned the game around as well.
Absolutely, you needed something positive. Certainly, big plays in that first half. Those are all ones you circle. The penalties continue to be an issue. Poor run defense, and the offense didn't really get it going. I was surprised they didn't attack the middle of the field more. Yeah. That was an area where, since Matt Milano has been hurt, and then they also didn't have Micah Hyde, the safety, today, the Bills had ranked near the bottom 3 of the NFL when it came to passing allowed over the middle. Yeah. And I thought that CD, and we'd seen the Cowboys really have a ton of success with Jake Ferguson and the seam route, right? CD Lamb with those in-breaking routes. Everything was kind of being funneled to the outside. You're absolutely right. Credit the Buffalo secondary. I'm sure we'll see that they played well. But that's something we've given McCarthy and the offensive staff a ton of credit for, is attacking teams' defensive weaknesses. They didn't seem to do that today.
No, really kind of a game plan where Mike really wasn't in a very good rhythm. Dak wasn't surely in a good rhythm. The one guy that really came to play today was Tony Pollard.
Yes.
You looked at him. He looked like, he was explosive. The way that he was running the football, just, you were behind throughout, and you just really couldn't get him going like you probably need to. If that game was really, really, really close, then maybe you'd have been in a situation right there where, he could have been a difference maker at the end.
Yeah, I mean, Tony Pollard, 4.7 yards an average, 11 carries, 52 on the day. He had a long of 11, but he did come in. He was one that showed up today. Tony Pollard showed up to play.
He showed up today. He
certainly did.
And he's shown up the last several weeks.
Yeah, I mean, he can, every game it seems like he's starting to look better and better, getting back to his form from last year. Yeah. And again, I mean, only had 11 carries offensively, and then he did have 2 catches as well, but man, I guess when you start to get down that much, they went away from the ground game a little bit too early in this one. They were certainly having success, and then they put in Rico Dowdle. It's not like Rico's been bad, but to me, when Tony looked that hot, I would have just left TP in the game.
Well, there was one time when you had a 3rd and 1, and they went shotgun, snap, sack, and you're just kind of wondering.
After Lipke came out for a 3rd and 1, and got it easy.
Sometimes I wonder if you're outthinking yourself on this. But
you say you hate cute football. That might have gotten a little too cute there.
I hate cute football at times. I really do.
877-881-1053, the number to call, the number to text here on the official postgame show of the Dallas Cowboys. Some humble pie today, 31-10. Bills smacking the Cowboys around, and they'll be on the road again next week against Miami. Cowboys did clinch a playoff spot today for the third consecutive season. It's the first time the Cowboys have made the playoffs 3 years in a row since 94 to 96 during the end of their Super Bowl run. But man, even that feels like it's not really a bright spot
now.
today.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, good you're in the playoffs, but today was an opportunity to try and continue to put pressure on Philadelphia to go have to win at Seattle. And so now with that loss, we'll see what happens with Philadelphia the next several games. The Giants came back to earth at New Orleans, so you were kind of maybe thinking the Giants could do something to Philadelphia twice, but you're likely going to be the fifth seed and have to go play the winner of the NFC South.
And we talked about how important it was for this team to try and get a home playoff game, or maybe two.
Yeah.
And it's just bizarre when they show up and play poorly like they did today, how bad they look. And maybe there is something to this road woes thing right now, man.
Well, there's something to teams that play with a physical edge against them. And clearly Buffalo their mindset was, we're going to run the football today. And Joe Brady, I thought, did an excellent job. If you'd have told me that Josh Allen was going to be 7 of 15 for 94 yards.
Yep.
I mean, I was going to say, hey, I'll take that. That's probably a Cowboy 31 to
We'd be
10
great.
victory. Yeah, that'd be something like that.
My goodness. I'm like, hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Josh Allen throws for under 100 yards. Let's do it.
Yeah, but they just from the jump never really had any type of ability to get guys up the field. Never really got off blocks. Never fit very well. Never tackled very well. And if I'm an opponent of the Cowboys, I immediately just say, and I don't think it's all about Hankins. I think they've got guys that legitimately are not very good run players.
I mean, you saw there was a play where Jaron Kearse is unblocked and James Cook goes to the edge and Kearse just can't get over there.
Can't get there, yeah.
So absolutely. Them attacking the perimeter, and that was something we talked about last year, adding big body interior players.
Well,
and Hankins makes a difference, but Hankins didn't play in defensive end.
No, but Hankins is not extending. They were really, really poor when it came to just getting off blocks. There was never, the Buffalo Bills offensive line, give them, again, a lot of credit. They were moving the line of scrimmage. Dallas just, every time that it appeared that Cook had the ball, that he was already into the second level, and then before he even got touched. So
25 carries, 179 yards for James Cook with that touchdown. He had 7.2 yards per carry was his average. Ty Johnson, the backup, had 6 yards per carry on 9 for 54. So we're worried all week about Josh Allen and the problems he presents.
Well, he had 24.
He had 20. But, I mean, they didn't need him. They didn't need Josh Allen to play at that level that we were expecting. I mean, I did not think the Cowboys would win this game. Historically, I feel like this was a bad matchup, but I didn't think that it would be a blowout like this. I picked Buffalo to win by 2, 26-24.
I was betting on the Cowboys offensively being better than what they were today. I didn't think that this defense would be that poor.
Yes.
But they were.
They certainly were. All right, let's get to the phones. Brought to you by Pepsi, made for Cowboys watching. Let's hear your reaction. Of course, we'll hear from Coach McCarthy, Dak Prescott, the voice of your Cowboys, Brad Sham. But let's go ahead and let your feelings be heard. This one stunk. It really stings after the Cowboys were on such a great run, winning 5 in a row, laying an egg in Buffalo, getting absolutely dominated. Let's go to our buddy Big Jim from Round Rock. Big Jim, how you doing, sir?
Well, Wolchuk, Broaddus, this was, I kind of felt like this game was over in the first quarter. Defense just was playing very undisciplined, as y'all have said. I don't think they could set an edge if they had to. Those penalties were killer. I mean, that just sprang those fellas to new life. And tell you what, they need to start calling James Cook Captain Cook, because he looked like he was sailing across the Pacific Ocean going to New Zealand today. That was some impressive running. Look, he's a good back, guys. He's good, but you can't. That offensive line was just getting all kinds up in our defense's face, and Bryan, I tell you, I like the kid Deone Clark, but dadgum, he just couldn't.
No.
He was just getting locked up at every single time when he was out there. So I don't know. I don't know what we chalk this one up to, but I tell you one thing, you're right. If I'm that Mike McDaniel down there in Miami, I don't know that Tua Tagovailoa is going to have to throw a ball for a while. I just hand it off to Mostert, and A-Chain, and those boys have got speed too. So, well, hey, it's not what we wanted, and I'm going to have to go in here in the kitchen and eat me some crow because I thought we're gonna win this thing, but. You know I love you boys, and it makes it a lot easier getting to listen to you guys after the post game. So have a good one, and we'll talk later, okay, fellas?
Thank you, Big Jim. We appreciate you. Yeah, I mean, anytime you allow 266 yards on the ground, it's going to be a rough day at the office.
Yeah, it's they're going to sit down, and I mean, you really don't even have to look at the film to know how bad you played or how poorly you played. The technique, the physicality, just. Give Buffalo a lot of credit. They had a mindset today of what they wanted to do, a plan with what they wanted to do, and once they figured out that they could run the ball with success and they weren't going to get any resistance, well, it was a real simple. I could call plays if I know I can get a back that's going to run the ball for 7 yards a carry.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Stan in Plano, my neck of the woods. There, Stan, how you doing, sir?
Hey, doing great. Got 3 quick points. One, I don't know who in the scouting department is in love with Michigan defensive linemen. But first we had Taco, who was a first-round bust. Now we have Mozzie, who's a first-round bust. I mean, Mozzie is slow. He gets single blocked. He can't even get on the field when even Hankins is out. Second thing, I don't understand why, Parsons can move around a lot. Why have him on the D line when they're running the ball down our throats? He can't compete against a run block. Put him at linebacker where we don't have any linebackers and let him make plays. And finally, 3 personal foul penalties, extended drives, and led to 3 touchdowns. I'll hang up and listen.
Yeah, I appreciate the call, Stan. I mean, Brian, you and I do work when it comes to the draft in the Mozzie pick. First off, Will McClay and the scouting department do an excellent job. The Cowboys have been one of the best drafting teams over the last 10 years. The fact that they're competitive year in and year out is because of their drafting. Yeah. We always give them grief because they're not aggressive in free agency. And why is that? Because they trust their drafting and development. So, they missed on Taco 100%. They should have taken TJ Watt. They didn't. That was a miss. But you can cherry pick that one and then overlook the 6 that they did hit on if you'd like. The Mozzie pick, it's not looking good right now. No. But he still hasn't even played a full NFL season. He's certainly not ready, it seems. And you've talked about this, him being laid off the snap. When he's on time, he can be a problem.
He can. But people are tired of me. They're starting to, and that's fine. I'll let you have your day in the sun if you want to, hammer on the Mozzie pick. That's fine. But there's times when you watch him play where you can see that he gets it. Now, today was one of those days where he was on a big stage, big opportunity, could have been a factor in playing some better run defense. Is he the complete reason why Dallas fell apart? It's an easy blame, because he's a rookie. He's a first-round pick that's a defensive tackle that's supposed to be a run player. When he doesn't do well, then it's easy to say that. So, if you want to call him a bust and all those things, fine. People will continue to do that, and I just keep evaluating the tape, and when if it works out for him, great. If it doesn't, then you know what? That front office will have to wear that one. Yep. And everybody here will remind him about the fact that he is a bust, if that's really, really what you think he is. But I think you have to give the kid a chance. I think the things that hurt him the most is when he's laid off the ball. That's the one thing that hurts him the most, because you're laid off the ball, those linemen get into you. And these NFL linemen, you give them a half count or a full count to get into you like that, they're going to block you most every single time. Yeah. And that's what he's dealing with right now.
The personal foul certainly, the Sam Williams play was just bizarre.
Sam Williams.
That should have been an easy block.
Just block the punt. And then if you want to just destroy the punter as you're blocking, he went up with the intent of not running into the punter. And what did he do? He ran in the punter. He got small. You want to get big. You want to extend. You block that ball. As soon as you hit the ball, you can blow up the punter. And he didn't do. He blew up the punter, but he never touched the ball.
Yeah. No question. So I mean, I appreciate the call and some of those points.
Everybody had a bad day today.
It was not.
Head coach had a bad day. As far as game management on that challenge, quarterback wasn't where he needed to be. Receivers didn't find a way to get open against the secondary that had been getting space. The run defense was horrible. It's just you can just continue to point the finger at a lot of different things why you get beat by the way you did.
And we got a lot of, certainly people do want to always focus on the offense, and we focused a lot on the defense because that certainly was
offense wasn't great today.
Offense was bad. The quarterback certainly wasn't very good. 21 of 34, 134 yards and an interception. I mean, Dak certainly was the front runner for the MVP going in. I don't believe that will be an award that he will be winning after today. He couldn't afford a dud like that.
Needed to find a way today to make some plays, and they didn't. They didn't make some plays. The receivers, it may be a different game. You get the block. Maybe he hits Cooks. They blocked that thing up. They went max protect to throw that ball out. They just missed it. But there weren't enough of those plays.
No.
There weren't enough of those plays.
877-881-1053, the number to call, the number to text. Let's go to the Drizzle in Waxahachie. What's going on, man?
Hey, guys, what's up? I want to put a few Cowboy positives out there.
Okay.
And, the calls in the first half of the game were BS. And hindsight is 2020. We'll look at that stuff, but the Cowboys clinched tonight, and that's fine. We're in the game, and we're going to take our medicine. They're going to learn from this. We've had how many wins in a row, and we've been kicking butt and taking names, and we're going to move on from this. And I personally, the man in Waxahachie, guarantee that we will beat the Dolphins and the Lions.
Okay.
And we're winning this division, dude.
I appreciate it. I mean, you're going to need some help from Seattle to have a chance tomorrow night, so make sure you pay attention to Monday Night Football. Jalen Hurts dealing with the sicknesses was a lot of the Cowboys apparently dealing with some stomach bugs during the week, but we'll see if Jalen Hurts, he's questionable to play tomorrow. You're going to need some help to win this division now.
Yeah. Even if you win the division, you're going to need some help defensively. I mean, you got to find a way. Like I say, this team is a different animal playing on the road for some reason.
Crazy.
And they just need to kind of figure that out. But we're to the point where you're kind of, I believe you are who you are, And so that's, likely I would have to say that they're probably going to have to go to a first round game at NFC South and then see what happens from there.
Certainly. All right, let's go ahead and hear from D in Red Oak. D, you're on the official postgame show of the Dallas Cowboys.
Hey, guys. Broaddus, can I ask you a question? I just want to know, what is it that people want Dak Prescott to do more of? You got D-loss penalty, 4 points. Sam Williams roughing the passer. Roughing the punter, 7 points. Curse penalty, 7 points. That's 18 points alone. You got one possession in the third quarter. The first drive of the game, you couldn't get them off the field. But anytime we had a positive play on offense, it got called back with a flag. Dak was trying to use his legs. He was trying to make passes. Receivers weren't getting open. So my question is, what else do people want Dak Prescott to do? If I'm put in a situation where I cannot make plays, then it's not going to be positive. So the question becomes, what else do I need to do in order to progress the ball forward? And I'll hang up and I'll listen from that point.
I don't know how to answer your question. I really don't. To me, because when you want to talk about Dak Prescott, there's going to be these people that are always going to defend him, and there's always going to be these people that are against him. Mm-hmm. And you can't win on this one. Today was not about Dak Prescott. Today wasn't about Dak Prescott. Today was about your inability to stop the running game from the Buffalo Bills, your inability of wide receivers to get open. Yeah, Dak had a hand in it. He missed some plays. The interception he threw to Cooks was a poor pass.
One of the sacks he took, he kind of spun the wrong way.
Spun the wrong
right
way.
Into pressure.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, to answer your question, I don't know, because I do feel like, though, that there are times, though. By the way, he could have had 4 interceptions today. Let's be honest about that. But hey, that's anytime you bring that up, you're going to get the people that support Dak are going to, they're going to say, well, what, why are you blaming him? Why, it was this, that, and the other. No. So, I don't have a great answer for that. I really don't, because I want to believe that today it wasn't completely about the quarterback today. They needed the quarterback to play better.
Yes.
But they needed the linebackers to play better. They needed CeeDee Lamb to play better. They needed Tyron Smith to play better. They needed Deone Clark to play better. And they didn't. This was a bad team loss. And so you're not going to pin this one on Dak. But as a quarterback and as a potential MVP candidate,
He took a hit today.
He took a big hit.
He's probably not bouncing back from.
He took a big hit today.
Absolutely.
And, that's the thing about it, because you've seen him play at such a high level, and they didn't. None of them played at a high level.
No, the entire team laid an egg, including the quarterback.
Yeah.
You wanted him to be better, but you wanted CD to be better, Ferguson to be better, Brandon Cooks. Go down the list.
None of them were better.
Where was Michael Gallup today?
Pollard
showed up.
Pollard showed up today, but I think everybody else in this team, including the head coach, as the primary play caller, he did you no favors today.
No doubt. But the caller's right about the penalties. That first drive that they had, they're moving the ball. Dak converts a 3rd and 6 with his legs. Then you're in Buffalo territory, and you end up with a 9-yard run from Tony Pollard on 2nd and 5 at the Buffalo 38. But here's a holding call on Tyler Smith. Then you take a sack on 3rd and 14. That knocks you well out of field goal range. You got a punt. So, you were moving the ball on the opening drive. It seemed like, okay, maybe it's not windy and raining currently in the first quarter. Maybe this is going to be a fun offensive back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't end up playing out that way.
No.
Can't beat yourself. The Cowboys certainly had a lot of self-inflicted wounds today, but absolutely. You're going to get the criticism. The people that hate Dak have had to be quiet for 5 weeks. They've been waiting for this opportunity to jump back out there.
No question.
All right, let's hear from Mike McCarthy after this Cowboys 31-10 defeat.
David.
Hey, Mike. David Moore, Dallas Morning News. What's your assessment of what happened out there tonight?
Assessment? Obviously, we didn't play very well. I want to give Buffalo all the credit. They played the way you need to play. They controlled the clock, ran the ball. Was thorough in the situation. Offensively, we didn't move the ball effectively. We knew we were going to have to go the long way. The way they played us. So we had some key plays there in the second quarter, and I thought that if you can make it, maybe the game goes a different way. The penalty on the block punt attempt, that was a huge play. Not getting the turnover was another play. So we needed those plays. I think we were -6 big play production in the first half, and obviously we didn't get, we needed to go score some points. Got a break with the weather. The weather was great in the first half, so we did not play well.
This brings up questions about your play on the road. You're so great at home.
There's what?
Your play on the road.
Yes.
It's so disparate.
It's a gap. It's part of my message. I just, we play so well at home, and there's just too big of a gap in our road games. Yeah, we're conscious of it. We'll got a long flight home to continue to talk about it, think about it. Now, obviously, we got to move on to Miami in the morning. We'll get this one corrected. But yes, we got to be better in this. I think we talked about coming off of the Thursday night game going into Philadelphia. I think this stretch really lays up well for us because, it gives us 3 road games, all tough games. And, I don't think anybody expected to play the way we did tonight. They played well. I don't want to discredit their performance, but, we got to be much better on the road, regardless of what's in front of us and all the other conversations, because there's too big of a gap between home and away.
Obviously, a lot of talent out there on defense, but how do you get this team to play more?
Hey, flag me down. I'll call on you. Okay.
Mike Towers for the ESPN. The run defense, that's
been a worry
Yeah.
for you for a good portion of the year. What happened today with them getting the edge and also up the middle?
Yeah, no, they got on our edge, a bunch, and I know Dan and the guys were very impressed with Cooks, throughout the week. So, specifically, they performed better than we did. They broke our contain, they broke tackles, they won the bend back battle. So just all the little things that we've been good at. So they were better at it today.
And you mentioned the turnover. Did you not get word quick that it was a fumble?
No, we did not get a replay.
How do you get this team to play more physical?
You gonna take care of this guy or what?
Keep talking.
What's your name?
Jay. How do you get this team to play more?
I'm trying to help you out here.
Okay, sorry, Jalen, the beat 105.5.
Yeah.
How do you get this team to play more physical? It seems like they just got beat up today. They're physicality.
Okay, yeah, we didn't play as well as they did. That's all I got for you.
Anybody else? Michael? In terms of the inability to stop the run, obviously no Hankins, those are felt, but is that enough? Why is such a...
No, I mean, there's no question. We got to be better. They ran the ball way too effectively. I don't know. I didn't see the final stats, but yeah, our run defense needs to be much better, without a question. I can clearly acknowledge that.
Ed Warder, ESPN. What do you leave here feeling about what this team's capable of?
Capable? Well, I think we all realize this. We're 10-4. I just think the fact of reality. We lost a game that we did not play very well, and they played well. You got to give them credit. And it starts with starts like anything. It always starts up front. It starts with the run defense, and no different. We didn't get enough attempt at the plates. Running the ball ourselves. So look at our situational offense. Hey. All three phases didn't get it done. Starting with me. I mean, we needed to put points on the board for our defense. Our defense needed help today, and we didn't give it to them.
Those first three touchdown drives the Bills had, each of them had a personal foul. Marcus one, you mentioned the Sam Williams one, and then first penalty for 15 yards. I don't know if you had a good look on any of those, but just the consequence of those early.
Yeah, I know there's five. There's 5 called in the first half, so they're obviously. And it was a chippy game, and I think that's to be expected at this time of year, the urgency and all that goes into these December football games. So, yeah, we don't want it. They were critical. I thought there was critical plays throughout the first quarter and second quarter that if we could make a play or two there, then maybe we can get this game going a different direction. But, yes, they clearly were big factors in those drives.
Head coach Mike McCarthy, after a 31-10 Bills win over the Cowboys, certainly taking responsibility. A little spicy there, maybe with someone who's not typically in the Cowboys press conferences and doesn't know really how they work. But, yeah, coach is right. Offense needed to help out the defense. The defense was bad. There's no excusing that. Dan Quinn, I'm sure, would be the first to tell you. The tackling was horrendous. The run defense was terrible. They completely looked outmatched at times. The effort wasn't where you wanted it to be. But offensively, they did need to help. They did. That's why it's a team game. Special teams, you had a chance at a huge play. Unfortunately, Sam Williams didn't execute that.
Yeah. No, that's overall, that's the issue right there. Mike, they're going to sit down and you're going to look at what happened on the run defense, and you're probably going to see that you clearly lost the line of scrimmage. You clearly didn't tackle well enough. You clearly on offense couldn't get open. You clearly couldn't find anybody open. When they did get open, you couldn't protect. You somewhat ran the football. There's just a lot of things. Your coach, he said he didn't get a replay fast enough. To me, that's a gut call.
Yeah,
that's just a gut call.
Feel. We saw a play.
If the game is going, you just got to do anything you can to change the momentum and the direction of the game. And to me, it was to lose a timeout and to lose a challenge at that point was probably worth it, considering the way the game was going.
Agreed. 5:13 left in the first half. You still had all 3 timeouts at that point, and there was a play that was somewhat similar, not a fumble, but in the Cleveland-Chicago game earlier in the day, DJ Moore catches a pass along the sideline. There's no replay ever shown to Kevin Stefanski.
Yeah.
But DJ Moore turns around, and his reaction is, guys, we got to get to the line of scrimmage. I don't know if I got both my feet down.
Yeah.
Stefanski doesn't hesitate, throws the challenge flag. So if you want to use the excuse, I didn't see the replay,
right?
Nobody told me,
right?
You got to have some type of feel of the game there.
Yeah, that's
why you're the head coach.
He's part of the problem right now. He was part of the problem for this particular game. Yeah.
Not a good day all the way around. Of course, we'll hear from Dak Prescott. We'll hear from Brad Sham. Lines are full. We love you. We appreciate it. We'll let you vent, get out your frustration. Maybe you've got some hopium you want to give us as well. 877-881-1053. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
ProStar Energy Solutions wrote the playbook for innovative energy solutions with the opening of AT&T.
The only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. It's Miller time.
Sam Martin. Oh, that was tipped. Flag down, though. They didn't get the ball, and they ran into the kicker. Turpin caught it at the 30, running around and tackled at the 25. And Sam Williams, that's twice they've been that close to blocking it, but Sam Williams didn't get the ball, and he did get the punter.
I think that's going to be the big variety.
Personal foul. Yep. Roughing the kicker. Defense number 54. The 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Man, what a big turning point that was. Certainly an opportunity to block that punt. Maybe you score on the play. If not, you're going to get tremendous field position in the red zone. Unfortunately, Sam Williams somehow not able to make the block. Then you extend the Bills' drive with yet another personal foul penalty as the Cowboys lose 31-10 in Buffalo. They fall to 10-4 on the season, 3-4 away from the friendly confines of AT&T Stadium. Zach Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout. We will get back. That's Bryan Broaddus, of course. We'll get back to the phones here momentarily, but we do have the voice of your Dallas Cowboys, the great Brad Sham from Buffalo. Brad, I mean, how wild was Sam Williams not being able to block that punt? I mean, that thing was right on him.
He did everything but. He got as close as you can get without blocking it, but somehow he didn't, and he did get the punter, and that turned out to be a big play.
Brad, I think that the run defense issues are more than just Hankins not being out today. And I know you're calling the game and following the ball and all that, but it just looked like to me a lot of blue jerseys plastered on white jerseys in that game, especially when they handed the ball to any one of those Buffalo backs.
Yeah, at one point I said that Jonathan Hankins clearly is the MVP of the league.
Sure.
But, Hankins doesn't have anything to do with setting the edge.
No.
And whoever was setting I know Parsons got hooked a couple of times. I saw it. And, as you well know, Brian, sometimes setting the edge is the responsibility of a lineman. Sometimes it's a linebacker. Sometimes it's a safety, or sometimes even a corner. But they didn't do any of that. And that's an embarrassment to play run defense like that. That's an embarrassment. That's an indictment. There were ways, things that could have happened. The Sam Williams play, the DeMarcus Lawrence roughing the passer. That was a kind of I get why they called it, but I don't think he got his money's worth. And if those plays don't happen, then those can really swing a game. But they did happen. But the running game defense, that didn't have to happen and didn't have anything to do with the penalties, and that just took them completely out of the game. Josh Allen didn't have to do anything today, and that's just not acceptable.
No, not at all. I mean, it was the tackling was poor. Offensively, Bryan and I were talking about this. We thought that you'd be able to attack the Bills' secondary. Were you seeing, from your vantage point, any missed opportunities there, or did Buffalo just do an excellent job in coverage?
I think they did a really good job in coverage. I was surprised that they didn't try to get to Ferguson more earlier. I did think that we're really splitting hairs here, but the first possession, they got a 3rd and 1, and they air it out deep to Cooks, who beats everybody, but the wind is at his back, probably carried the ball. Just get a first down. You don't have to hit a home run there. Get a first down. Keep the ball. Grind it out. So, and then shortly after that, the play calling really became irrelevant, and I think the Bills did a really good job plastering today.
Yeah, Brad, I mean, just watching the TV, and just trying to kind of get an idea, it just seemed like to me that the Bills wanted to come in, rush 4, maybe get an occasional blitz there, but they did a really nice job of if they're playing zone defense, of making Dak have to just go through all those reads to maybe even find somebody, and you probably couldn't hold up as well as you needed to with some of those sacks and having to go through all those reads.
See, I think that's a great point because they do play a lot of zone. I think the statistics demonstrate that the Cowboys offense has been, most effective against man-to-man.
Yeah.
So they're playing a lot of zone, and that you're 100% right. The protection's got to hold up longer the more you go through all of those progressions, and sooner or later, he just tries to squeeze one in, and for the most part, they got knocked down. And, I would give Buffalo a lot of credit for that.
Brad, maybe an unfair question here. I don't know if you got to catch up with Zach Martin post-game, but did you get any word on how he's doing?
I did not get into the locker room, and I might see him on the plane, but I'll be shocked if, and I'm basing this, Zach, only on the way his leg was wrapped. I'd be shocked if he was ready to play next week. That doesn't, and Bryan weigh in, but that looked to me like more than a 2 or 3 day injury. I think there's a chance he could be maybe ready for Detroit, depending on how the bruise is. And, how much bleeding there is in there.
The bleeding
and
part
how
of it,
much
yeah.
they can control it.
Yeah.
But I'd be shocked if he could play next week.
Yeah, Brad, it's one of those unfortunate things, and especially in games like this, it just seems like injuries get magnified, with when as you get beat. I mean, the Cowboys have been the ones that have been doing all the beating up here lately, though. I was going to ask you though about the secondary, and they really didn't have to be involved as much. The passing game was not a factor at all for Buffalo. What did you feel like, though, that some of the fits in the secondary was? We were talking about edge. Did you feel like, though, the corners, the safeties, maybe that was something just from the naked eye that didn't really translate and helping them in the running game today?
That's a great question, and as you well know, it's one better answered.
You catch it tomorrow on the film,
by looking at the tape, because I do know that. How many times did I throw the ball? Not many, huh?
No, it was. I think he threw 15. I think is what
15,
I think.
15 passes.
Yeah, I think
How
it was
about
7 or 15. Yeah,
15. What did Diggs catch? 2 or 3?
Diggs only had 4. Yeah.
And did Kincaid have 1 or 2?
Actually, it was James Cook for 2, Ty Johnson for a 1, and
that was it.
That was it.
Kincaid got targeted twice, but he had that one
Cook,
drop.
I mean, since they changed coordinators, throwing to Cook has been one of their best weapons.
Yeah.
And so that I think it's a great question about how the secondary played the run, but that really is a watch the tape the next day.
Yeah, I kind of felt like that maybe some of the safety play, when he got down to the point where they were just running the ball, you would put guys down there and try and help, but.
Yeah, and they didn't have Hooker, and he's one of the ones who helps position guys. Don't know how much that had to do with it, but I mean, I hate to even bring some of that stuff up because it sounds like excuses. As poorly as they tackle, they might have had more missed tackles today than they've had all year.
Yeah, crazy bad. Hey, Brad, and I know that Mike in the post game he told the media that he didn't have a clean look at the fumble, the Diggs fumble. The game wasn't going well for you at that point. Isn't it worth a challenge? I'm going to burn a challenge. I'm going to burn a timeout.
You still got all 3 at the time.
I'm trying to change momentum right now is what I'm doing.
Yes. I guess my question would be how quickly did he get the information? Because that was on the other side of the field from where he's standing.
Yeah.
So he can't possibly see it. He's got to rely on information. And if he didn't get it quickly enough, and they hurried to get the ball snapped, if he didn't get it quickly enough, then that would be part of the game day operation. But yes, if you have any inkling, I will agree with you, Brian. That's a good place to use the job.
Just stop the game right there. Yeah. If you lose, you lose, but you might change the momentum of the game, though, too.
Right, absolutely might.
Yeah. Brad, anything else before we let you out of here?
No, I'm glad that's over.
Yeah, me
just
too.
remember, last week and this week have never met.
Amen. Brad, thank you so much. Fly home safe, sir.
Okay, fellas. Have a good one.
You too. There he goes, the great Brad Sham. We'll talk with him, of course, next week as well, pregame and postgame here on the official postgame show of your Dallas Cowboys. Let's pause 10 seconds to allow for station ID across the Dallas Cowboys radio network.
Your turn it on, leave it on. Home of America's team is 105.3 The Fan.
Hello, baby.
KRLD FM and HD1, Dallas Fort Worth.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Brad brought to you, of course, by WinStar as the casino of the Dallas Cowboys. WinStar knows what it means to be a star with over 10,000 of your favorite electronic games. The all-new 2-story WinStar Spawn Cascades, our luxury pool complex. WinStar really is the place to feel like a star. Please game responsibly. Zach Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Bryan Broaddus here after a 31-10 Bills beatdown over your Dallas Cowboys. Hindsight's easy here to look back and say, man, maybe you should have done this or should have done that. But with how this team is built to play with the lead, with how good their pass rush is.
Take the ball to start the game.
I wonder that. Yeah. Like, I know Mike loves the double dip. He wants to try and score before half and out of half.
The middle eight weren't good today for you.
But this team is a front-running team. Yeah. They have been all year long. And they win the toss, elect to defer. I wonder, should this team just not take the football?
I think it's an interesting point. I was hopeful, though, that they were going to do what Seattle did. when the game, a couple weeks ago where Seattle scored a touchdown right before the half, got back in, and then scored another touchdown coming out of half. And all of a sudden now you're 14 points, and maybe the momentum has switched for you a little bit. They just didn't play. They didn't play the middle eight that well at all today. At all. And I think it's you can make that you could throw that out there as a thought. But if they get points, you're thinking like,
and it works out.
The middle eight looks great.
I can't recall a ton where they've been able to get the double dip successfully this year.
Yeah, they've had some opportunities for it though. Today would have been the day to do it.
You needed it bad. You really did.
Yep, you sure did.
I was very surprised with just how gross that opening drive out of the half looked. Yeah. You thought maybe they can come out. They mentally they're in a better mindset. Didn't happen. I mean, they come right back on the field. A lot of the texts have been, hey, offensively, you needed to get, sustain more drives, help out the defense. I mean, obviously, it was very lopsided in terms of time of possession. I mean, they out-possessed you by 11 minutes in this one. A lot of that is because of how successful they were running the football. But you couldn't get off the field on third downs. No. And when you made a stop, you gave up a penalty to sustain the drive.
Yeah. There were some times with offensively, though. Brad was right. The 3rd and 1, they drop back. It's just get the first down.
Yeah.
Just try and give your defense a little bit of a break. Maybe get guys to kind of figure out what's going on. Maybe an adjustment or two. But to me personally, though, I don't think you make any adjustments on that running game unless you put all 11 in the box.
Yeah.
And I think still Buffalo would have been able to run the ball.
So, yeah, I agree with you. And that caller earlier asked about this, and, I missed it at the time, but I think it's a good question. We wondered, how do you play Micah in this game, especially the way they were running the football, which is going to mitigate his ability to rush the passer? Do you then move him off ball and allow him to play linebacker?
Yeah.
Brian, I wonder if Micah's really super willing to do that. Because the last time they played him off ball, they won by a gazillion points, and he was complaining on social media afterwards.
Was that the Giants game?
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, I kind of feel like the same thing. If they're going to run the ball, but they were running the ball on the edge. That's something that Micah. But if you're right, if you play him off ball, the autopsy will be interesting tomorrow. That to sit down and see, okay, where were they really, really struggling? Where were they? And everybody knows they were struggling to defend the run, but were they struggling so bad were they double teaming at the tight end spot with the tackles? Were they, with a combo block and tackles guards? I'm interested to see how they were able to expose the Cowboys to so many chunk runs, and how they blocked that. I've seen some pin and pull stuff from them, but I don't think it was that. I think it was just straight coming off the ball and getting hat on hat, and then navigating that and let the backs do what they need to do.
They just get the edge set in the first play. I mean, you saw Tank crash and scrape right down the line of scrimmage, made a great play. But really what was sad to witness is when they did make a couple of stops, it seemed at the line of scrimmage, and then here comes the Buffalo offensive line just completely out-muscling you, and you're going to push them forward for about 6 yards. Gosh, you hate to see that. All right, so much more to break down. We'll get back to the phones. We'll hear from Dak Prescott after that disappointing loss as well. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
Football Club Barcelona arrives to Cotton Bowl Stadium.
Please drink responsibly.
1st and 10 at the 19. Allen back, flushed out, throws on the run to his right to Cook, the running back, slithering across the goal line. Touchdown, Buffalo. Pretty play.
Buffalo running it right down the Cowboys' throat all afternoon long. James Cook, 25 carries, 179 yards, and that touchdown, 266 yards as a team. Cowboys just could not stop the run. I saw this from our buddy Bobby Bell. Cowboys' first road team in over 10 years to allow 85 net yards passing or fewer and lose by 20 points or more. And that happens when a team doesn't have to throw the ball because they can just line up and run it for 5 yards a clip.
Yep, that was that was the recipe for going into the game. Though, felt like that Buffalo was going to run the football. That's Joe Brady was clear about that, and they were going to challenge Dallas, and nobody has really challenged them since, I believe, the San Francisco game. Man, Dallas has played some decent run defense. The Carolina game, I don't think was great run defensive wise. A lot of that I felt was self-inflicted with jumping around blocks and not being in the right gaps and stuff like that. Kind of have a feeling the same thing is going to happen when I sit down and look at it. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of maybe not guys playing total hero ball. This might be more about Buffalo just physically coming off the ball. This might be the one that there's nothing that Dallas really could do about it because they weren't physical enough at the point of attack, and they didn't have good fits. But there's been times where they jump around blocks and get out of lanes and gaps and stuff like that. But I just kind of had the feeling it's going to be of the variety of just not getting off blocks well enough.
Did see this from Nick Harris, DallasCowboys.com.
Zach Martin
an
thing?
excellent job. Yeah, about Zach Martin. So he said Martin avoided a more serious injury than initially believed. He caught up with Zach Martin, and Zach said he thought it was his knee, but fortunately it was just a deep hit to the quad. Quote, "I'm hoping this week, treat it and get it ready to go on Sunday. I feel good about that," end quote.
Yeah.
But we know after Zach Martin's initial injury, when he ended up missing the Arizona game, he was also very optimistic he'd be able to play in that one.
Yeah, we get to talk to Zach on Thursday on our show.
Around 5 o'clock.
Yeah, the flagship station, 105.3 The Fan. We get to talk to him, and he'll probably tell us what's going on. But, man, I was expecting Hooker to play today. I talked to people on Thursday, and they said, nah, his ankle just didn't come around like they thought it might. They were very optimistic that he was going to be able to play. So probably the same thing with Zach, be optimistic about it, try and get as much treatment. The problem you worry about the bruise is how much bleeding is involved in that, That's the swelling and all that. Can you play with that? So, fortunately, it wasn't the knee, though. That is a good thing.
Zach Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Bryan Broaddus, the official postgame show of your Dallas Cowboys, brought to you by the National Medal of Honor Museum. Join the mission at mohmuseum.org, and AT&T, the official 5G innovation partner of the Dallas Cowboys. We'll hear from Dak Prescott here momentarily, but let's get back to the phones. And a lot of you have been waiting patiently. Want to allow you a chance to vent, air out your grievances. Certainly a little Cowboys therapy here on the postgame show. Let's go out to New Mexico, where our guy Charlie's been waiting. Charlie, it's been a while. How you doing?
I'm doing great, guys. I hope you guys are doing good, too.
Doing okay.
Here's what I want to say to all my delusional fellow Cowboy fans on social media. Stop blaming the officiating. Stop blaming the head coach. Stop blaming the play calling. This team is the most penalized team in football, and until they go out and prove it on the football field, they're always going to have this Fugazi title hanging over their heads that they cannot play with physical football teams on the road. Not only do we get beat, we get embarrassed. That's the problem. We're not even competitive. And that's what bothers me the most.
I will say this, though, the head coach, he talks about penalties quite a bit. So that's, if you want to say, the players, but it's also on the head coach as well. I mean, that's something that they talk about quite a bit. They do a lot of studies. It's part of their analytics packages and stuff like that. That's something that needs to be looked at. That needs to be. I saw Mike McCarthy talking to Bones Fossil after the roughing the punter penalty. Like, okay, what are you doing? What just happened?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, with that conversation, did Mike McCarthy know that Bones Fossil was going after that ball? They were close the first time around. So when you say don't blame the coach, the head coach has to know what's going on, with the operation, and especially if Bones Fossil decided to go after a block, and Mike didn't know that they were going after a block.
Yeah, I mean, an undisciplined team traditionally is a reflection of the head coach.
That's exactly right. And people are saying that I hate Mike McCarthy. That's not true. I've given Mike McCarthy a lot of credit. I think his play calling has been outstanding this year. I really do. Today he ran into a defense that got the better of him. But you've got to know what's going on. If Bones Fossil is out here roguing, and I use that as a very strong word, if he's roguing, blocking punts where Mike's like, what are you doing? That's something the head coach has to know. When he doesn't challenge a play, that's something a head coach has to know. So Mike had a part of this one today.
Yeah.
As did all the coaches and all the players and the front office as well. They all had a hand in this one.
Team loss, 100%, including on the sideline. I do think Mike McCarthy's done a very good job since he's been here. He's now sustained a winning football team, which is something the Cowboys had struggled to do ever since Jimmy Johnson in the 90s.
Yeah.
They've now made the playoffs 3 years in a row. The standard here is not just to make the postseason, though, right? The standard is championships. That's the ultimate goal. But this is something and an accomplishment under Mike McCarthy to where he's at least now put together a consistent winner year in and year out.
Well, and the caller's right, though. This was embarrassing.
Very much so.
Especially in a game that meant so much. It meant a lot to Buffalo, but it meant a lot to you too. How important it is to find a way to win this division and get the best seed you can, so you make sure you have home games, so you don't have to deal with this kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. It disheartening. And Charlie's point about this is a formula to beat the Cowboys. You line up, you hit them in the mouth, you set the edge, you run the football on them. The two teams that have done that this year successfully, San Francisco is a physical, smack-you-in-the-mouth football team. Yeah. Buffalo is transitioning into that. Kudos to Joe Brady for now showing a commitment to running the football and not putting it all on Josh Allen, which was the issue previously. Now they're running it, and their offensive line's playing well. And we'll see the next 2 weeks. You're playing against Miami, a team who runs a very similar system with Mike McDaniel, who is with Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco. They're going to run a similar type of offense in terms of their running system. And then the following week, what does Detroit do under Dan Campbell? They're a punch-you-in-the-mouth type of football team, and they did it against one of the best defenses in the league coming into that game last night in Denver.
Yeah.
So you're going to be tested again the next 2 weeks. Can you stop the run? All right, let's hear from your quarterback, Dak Prescott, after this 31-10 Cowboys defeat to the Bills.
David Moore, Dallas Morning News. How can you describe the gap between how you guys perform at home and how you perform on the road, and how disturbing is this knowing that kind of the position you're in now?
Yeah, it's a huge difference, and really that's what this next week of preparation and honestly these next couple of weeks are about is figuring out what that difference is and trying to close that gap. Obviously, we'd love to come out, start like we play at home, produce like we do at home, but that just hadn't been the case. So we've got to find out what those answers are and try to close that gap. And we can't be those two different of a teams. You know what I mean? Winning like we do at home against obviously a good team last week, and then come out here today and just don't get anything done all the way around. I mean, in all three phases. But obviously, when myself, the offense doesn't start well, it doesn't help anything of it, any part of that, and allows them to continue to run the ball with the lead, and just makes it tough on everybody.
Can you remember being on a team where it's this pronounced this late in the season on a good team?
What do you mean?
Just the gap between the performance, just so.
No, I mean, but I also don't know if I've been on a team that's been as dominant as we have been at home. So to be able to put my finger on just that and say, I mean, I'd be reaching in that sense. So like I said, we know it's the same guys that are lining up. We've always taken pride in our communication. So there's some things I can tell you that we are doing right, that's not it. But I wish I could tell you right now. Wish I could have told you before this game. So we got to figure that out.
Clarence Hill for Wolchuk. You guys clinched the playoff before the game, but you know that, and does it mean anything on a day like today?
No, I didn't know that at all. Didn't pay attention to that. Don't care, to be honest. obviously coming into this thing, and I mean, beginning of the year, that's one of the goals. But as we've gotten to the latter part of the year with the way that we've been handling the season, we knew that was just a matter of time. So can check it off, but we've got other things to focus on, and I've continued to tell y'all in different times that this is about us putting our best performance out each and every week, and today we simply didn't do that. And so that's where the concern and that's where the focus is right now, much more than us getting to the playoffs. Is we've got, what, 2 out of the 3? Something like that, right? Left on the road. So we know once we get to that point, that tournament point, obviously we're not helping ourselves with home field or anything like that like we did today. So it's about figuring out that gap and just making sure that we're trying to get better.
What was the miss with the offensive passing game?
Missed one early. Boom. I think that obviously that can change the game right there alone. 7-7 to start it off, make that pass. Felt good coming out. Don't know if the wind was behind me or not. Part of it, though, right? You got to move on from that fast, and we didn't do that necessarily. And so didn't get some completions early. Put us down, right? They already had the 7-0 lead, and boom, they score again. And at that point, trying to play in a drop back game in conditions like this is not going to be favorable. I can tell you that. And so they did a great job on defense, putting disguising for one, putting the top on it, making us play underneath. And as I said, it's going to be tough in conditions like this when they've got the lead, trying to have to just go drop back all game long. So they beat us with the formula.
Yeah, talk with you again. You guys haven't lost consecutive games all year, and it goes back maybe it's further far last year. Why? Why have you guys been able to bounce back and not let one loss become another one?
Resiliency for one. I talk about the men in the locker room a lot. Credit the coaching staff a lot. And that's why I say I wish I could put my finger on what's the difference in the home team and the away team that we're approaching this thing. But it's about going and finding those answers. We've got some great problem solvers. We got men that know how to prepare, stay true to the process, not panic because things didn't go our way for one game. I think that's huge. And with those problem solvers, we'll get the answers we're looking for. We'll close that gap and plan to come out next week continuing that.
And at the end of the game, it's 31-3 and you're still in there. Why is that important to you?
Huge. One for momentum, one just to get something going. Not many times have we not scored. Have I not scored in games? Let a drive. So that's demoralizing for one, just to be honest with you. And just needed to get something going. Needed to get a drive going. Like I said, the conditions were tough, but wasn't going to use that as an excuse. Wanted to go back out there, and if it led to another one slipping out of my hands for an interception, hell be it. I was going to keep fighting, keep swinging, and that's really all I know.
Dak Prescott, after a 31-10 defeat to the Bills, did acknowledge there that he didn't know that they had clinched. Mike McCarthy also saying the same thing, that they didn't know that they'd clinched a playoff spot prior to the game. Their poor play today, not tied to that knowledge. A lot of people have texted in, and certainly fans were wondering, did that change their mentality coming into the game? I just think that they got physically beaten up, and Buffalo was way better than you today.
Yeah, Buffalo was playing for a lot today, the 11th seed, so they're trying to find a way. And, we always talk about the NFL as a strange lady. Somehow Dallas finds a way to go win a game at Miami next week. That helps Buffalo. If, Buffalo's got, they've got game. Buffalo just looks, to me, with the way that Buffalo, the physicality that they play with their running game. Gosh, that's a tough. But then you got a quarterback that's kind of willing to play that way too and make some throws. And they've got outstanding tight ends. I know the tight ends dropped a couple on them today, but I think overall, I think that's a really good football team. But
could be your AFC representative in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I mean, it's shocking because they were out of the playoffs today, but they are much better than their record indicates, and the AFC is so wide open right now.
It is very wide open, but it's a shame that Dallas needed this game too. That's
so important for them to play at home now in the postseason, and they still had dreams of the 1 seed if things could fall their way, if they won out.
Yeah, that's the thing that I just couldn't get over how poorly they played with so much on the line, but that's what happens every once in a while in the league.
Man, when they're not on their A game, it is bad.
Oh no,
their losses are bad,
really bad.
Oof! Today was it was certainly a rough one. We'll unpack it all with you as we rock with you for another 2 hours here on the official postgame show of your Dallas Cowboys. Phone line still full. We'll get back to the phones. Also want to hear from Micah Parsons, who is very emotional after this loss as well. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
'Tis the season for Dallas Cowboys holiday youth football and dance.
Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas.
3rd and 10. Prescott up under center, makes points and makes a little change in the protection. Snap back, fakes the draw. Look out, Dak. Down he goes. Jordan Phillips blew right up the middle. They ran a little stunt. Prescott down for the 3rd time.
Dak Prescott certainly taking a lot of big hits in this one today. Was a little surprised he stayed in throughout the entirety of the fourth quarter there.
Mm-hmm.
But they did end up, I guess, salvaging with that touchdown drive towards the end. And look, maybe when you're getting your butt kicked that much, you deserve to stay out there and take a licking. But 3 sacks given up. It seemed like he was pressured throughout the day. And I don't know, it's probably easy to say, oh, well, you lost Zach Martin. I don't think TJ Bass was bad coming in for him, but a variety of pressure. And certainly we knew that Buffalo blitzes quite a bit. And you saw that. You pointed it out during the week, Brian, the corner blitz, the slot corner blitz.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of, you don't get it from the linebackers. You get it from guys in the secondary. So, yeah, it just appeared that the rush, they were able to get after Dak. But, man, I bet you the coverage was just outstanding.
He was holding the ball. Yeah.
Wow. And
that'll be interesting to go back and watch.
Hold the ball. I mean, I'm not saying to hold the ball in a bad way. It's like holding the ball because
no one's open.
No one's open.
Yeah.
It very reminiscent of what the Cowboys faced with San Francisco when the receivers just couldn't find space.
And the chunk plays was something that McCarthy talked about. You just didn't get any. I mean, your longest play was 16 yards to CeeDee Lamb, which I think was that third down along the sideline. Probably the best play Dak threw all game.
Yeah.
So you just missed the explosive plays. Of course, James Cook had a 24-yard run. Stephon Diggs had an 18-yard catch. James Cook also had a 24-yard catch to go along with that 24-yard run. So they beat you in explosive plays. You didn't generate turnovers. That was one area that we thought you could take advantage of because Josh Allen will turn the ball over. You had one. On the Diggs. The Diggs fumble. Great play. I believe it was Marquise Bell knocked it out. Refs didn't see it. And on the other side of the field, for a variety of reasons, Coach McCarthy did not throw the challenge flag. So that's when you look back and say, what if?
If you're not sure, use the timeout.
Yep.
Just use the timeout.
Yep.
If you're not sure what you're seeing, or you want to have an opportunity to take a look at it, because Mike said he had the flag in hand. I was reading
some. Just thrown it, man.
Well, if anything, just burn a timeout there.
And then you can get a look at it.
Now you can get a look at it. Then you go challenge that thing.
Yep. Yeah. 4 personal foul penalties led to 18 of the first 21 points produced by the Bills.
I'm glad to see Zach Martin defending Dak the way he did.
I loved that.
Yeah, I don't have a problem. I mean, he didn't punch the guy or anything, but he went up on him knowing that, the contact. But yeah, it's this team is there's times when they do some really stupid things, and like I say, that's the way that McCarthy was talking to Bones Fossil after the Sam Williams penalty led me to believe that maybe Bones went after the punt and didn't say anything to Mike, or Mike didn't know that they were going after the ball. So they almost got it the first time around. So Sam won clean, should have laid out, extended, but he got small. And when you get small and you go in the air, you're going to run into the punter, and that's what happened.
All right, let's hear from Micah Parsons, who talked to the media after this one, and certainly was not happy. Around the rest of the team wasn't either, but here's Micah.
From a team standpoint, how do you explain the difference, how you play as a team on the road? And we talked about playing well on the road, need to play on the road, and this was another laid egg for the road.
Yeah, honestly, it's just unacceptable at this point. There's no excuse for it. It's mind-boggling. I don't understand it, why we're not playing well and why we're not coming together on the road. It's something that we need to look at and get better because we got to go on the road next week.
Something of this that goes back to the Hank injury and not having Hank. Is that important to what you guys are as a run defense?
I mean, Hank's important, but I think it was everyone all across the board. I don't think it's just one individual, one particular thing. I think it was a group effort.
Micah, how frustrating can it be trying to find the answers for the difference between home and away? Is it mind-boggling?
I don't know. It's just something we got to look at, but it's super frustrating for sure.
Do you expect Miami to come out and look at what Buffalo did and kind of do the same thing? Or other teams to start trying to play this way against y'all?
Well, if they do that, I think we'll have a pretty good Sunday because I think I got confidence in the guys around me and confidence in Quinn that we'll get it together and fix these mistakes and get better from it. We always have.
What did James Cook do so well tonight from your point?
I just thought he did a great job of just being patient. He was explosive, making people miss. He's been a good back all year, and he did a lot of great things tonight.
Beyond him making the position that explosive, it seemed like they were more physical. They pushed the foul, getting the fouls, stuff like that. Just talk about a defensive mentality about another team to push fouls and do things like that.
Yeah, they were holding the whistle. Usually when you stood up, they call it pretty quick, but tonight they was holding the whistle and they was pushing the foul, something we put a focus point on after the second time they done it. But usually when you got a guy wrapped up and he's not going nowhere, they kind of call it dead, but tonight they was just letting us play.
Made the playoffs after a night like tonight. Is that even something that registered with you?
No, because we got to get better on the road. So, and we got to be road warriors throughout the playoffs now because of this. So, it doesn't matter unless we get better on the road.
Like you guys had 3 personal fouls and extended drives. How deflating is that for a defense when you get to stop?
It's super deflating. I think that changed the whole momentum of the game, changed the course of the game. They might get 3 on that third down. We get off the field, though, and they don't get any points on them next 2 drives. We make them earn it. If you just told me, I think that changed the whole momentum of the game, forced our offense to be in certain situations, not letting them get into their full game plan and things like that. Those crucial penalties really hurt. They really hurt. And time and time again, we come on the road and we face these crucial penalties and we just can't overcome it. And that's just something we got to look at.
We've got 2 more road games left, one against a very good team, one against not as good a team. And then likely, as you said, the road games in the playoffs. Can you fix it between now and the postseason?
Yeah, it's just going to have to be a mentality thing. Everyone is going to have to get better. We're going to get healthy and get ready because next week's going to be a big one.
Micah Parsons there talking to the media afterwards, certainly frustrated. Confident in the team moving forward, and they have been really good under Mike McCarthy following losses, and McCarthy's overall December record is pretty good. But today, Micah wasn't good. Certainly was taken out of what makes him so effective, where they're not throwing the football, so you're not having many rush attempts. And anytime they did throw it, it did seem like Micah was generating pressure.
Yeah.
But he was neutralized because they just ran the darn ball the whole game.
No, and he was right. And he's they're not running away from that. I mean, they're talking about what needs to be done, and it really is a unit. That's their front 7. They have got to look at, okay, is it a scheme-related thing? Scheme-related, is it something that the Buffalo Bills did? Was it very similar to maybe the scheme that what we saw in Carolina, where Carolina had a little success running the ball? Is it something that Arizona had, a little success there? What is there some kind of common denominator here, or is it just the fact that you weren't physical enough to handle a team that really got after your ass today?
Yeah.
And that's what Buffalo did.
But I wonder if, we've talked about this plenty. They're a speed, undersized, focused defense. And a lot of the time, like, the speed can cause problems for other offenses, but when they go up against a sledgehammer like that on offense, they certainly are struggling. And that does, how this team is built doesn't necessarily fit into stopping the run-first teams. And a lot of the teams in the NFL aren't like that anymore, but certainly San Francisco is, the beast of the NFC right now, and the team you played today in Buffalo is morphing into that.
Yeah, that's what you got to do, though, when, the one thing that teams have learned, and I was on a couple of different programs for, Buffalo and podcasts and stuff like that. They were terrified of Dallas's pass rush. They didn't, and the one way to get around Dallas's pass rush is, but you got to be able to do it. You got to have blockers, and you got to have a back, and you got to be committed to it. But these teams are terrified of Dallas's ability to rush the passer. So running the football, to me, is the absolute best way to play against the Cowboys defense, for sure.
All right, let's head back out to the phones. Brought to you by AT&T, the official 5G innovation partner of the Dallas Cowboys and Blockchain. Trust the team at blockchain.com to make buying, selling, and trading crypto easy. Play smarter, not harder with blockchain.com. Zach Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Bryan Broaddus. We got Will in line 7 in Dallas. Will, how you doing? You're on the official postgame show of the Dallas Cowboys.
Hey, I'm good. How y'all doing?
Oh, we've been better, but we're all right.
I just wanted to say that this is what the Cowboys are with that, and this is what they will be with that. We don't win the big games. We've been there. We're there all the time, but we just can't get through it. we got a defense. We had a defense for the past few years, and our coaches. I mean, come on, get us ready, get the team ready, get the guys ready to play. You playing a big game. We got big games. You know, these are big games.
Was last week against Philadelphia not a big game that they won?
Nah, we play them every year, twice a year.
Okay.
All right. I mean, they had the best record in the NFC last week. And, I mean, Dak's not playing defense. You said we had a good defense the last 2 years. Yeah, maybe hold the defense accountable, too.
Oh, this was
blame can go on the quarterback for sure.
It absolutely could go on the
but
quarterback.
But your defense was terrible today.
Yeah. I totally agree. I agree with you, Zach.
I hear you.
Yeah, you know, and when you come on and you say the quarterback and he's not going to fine, if you know, that's something we're going to live with from now on. The guys that are and the gals that really are fans of Dak and the guys and gals that aren't the fans of Dak. Okay, take that out of the equation. You know, you weren't good enough playing defense today. You physically got beat up. You didn't win on the outside. You let a team who has been struggling with pass coverage, have success today. They covered you. Quarterback couldn't find anybody. And when the quarterback found somebody, he would miss. You know, a couple of times he missed there. This was a team loss. And head coach is just as much a part of this as well for the decisions that he made. But, you know, his play calling, he couldn't find any rhythm today. Couldn't get the quarterback going. Dan Quinn, this is part of you too. You know, you couldn't get the defense to, you know, get a stop when you really, really needed to stop. And, you know, how many drives did they have that went 12, 13 plays, end up in points? You know, that's a team loss right there.
Yeah. I mean, the 4-3-0, they split every year with the Eagles, so shut up with that. It was a big game.
Yeah.
Eagles had the best record in football, and you had 9 wins going into last week. Yeah. If you want to win the division, you had to win that game. It was for first place in the NFC East.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was a big game last week. I get it. They're in your division. You play them every year, but you have a good team in your division. So, yeah, it was still a big game last week that they did win, but 100%. They've come up short in the postseason. I agree with you there. And today was bad. I mean, today was not a good performance, and you were playing against a team that we do believe was good in what was a big game, and they didn't win, and they did come up short. So overall, I agree with the caller, but I would say last week was a big game. And today, not all on your quarterback. The defense, you can't allow 250-plus yards rushing and expect to win a football game. And when the opposing quarterback has less than 100 yards passing and only 15 attempts, you're not going to win.
No.
With those type of numbers when you're getting beat by the run that bad. It was just terrible. All right, 877-881-1053. Let's get one more call in here, and then we'll continue after the break. But let's go to Porter in Florida. Porter, how you doing?
Hey guys, how you doing today?
Good.
Good. I only have three really quick points. First one, I do a little scouting myself, and I know everyone, all the callers, sure enough, the comment section is probably destroying Mozzie, but definitely you guys' opinion. When I scouted Mozzie, I didn't see those elite traits, kind of like what you looked at from Jordan Davis last year. That elite trait and said, you know what, that's a first-round D tackle. To me, he looked like a third, fourth, a project. He had great tools, and he could become something, but it had to be a little seasoning, probably 2 or 3 years. First round, I thought was a little rich. My second point is, I know Dan Quinn. I mean, I go back to Dan Quinn back to the 90s. He recruited me out of high school. So I go really back, and I really understand his philosophy. But I think his philosophy now is, just like we said, it's undersized, it's fast. Ever since our 2013 season, when we turned back the clock and we became a ground and pound team, there just seems to be even more and more teams looking at those faster defense that, you know what, let's ground and pound. I think personally we really got to adjust that, because today I don't blame it so much on the D tackles, but mainly they went after our linebackers. Our linebackers couldn't get off of no guards. We watched, forgot my man number 33's name. We watched him get absolutely pancaked and hurt. We watched Bell missing in the open field, and this is a safety missing in the open field. So that I think it's more of a scheme, and it has to get changed. It has to get tweaked, not changed. Just get tweaked to be able to adjust for that. And the third point is, offensively, and I've always felt this way, probably the last 2 years, ever since we lost Cooper, we need somebody along with 88. Man, I'm sorry, brain freeze. Along with 88, that's a that's a difference maker on that edge. Brandon Cooks is awesome as a deep threat, but that interception that I watch, and it's something I've been watching Dak throw to him on definitely those immediate third downs that we need one. All those passes to Brandon seems to be high. If you look at every one of those, he just like today, that interception, I think Brandon actually put his hands down. So he goes, this is too high. This can't be for me. And it was. I think if we had that 6'1", 6'2", 6'5" receiver that Dak and I know Coach McCarthy loves, I know I know Bryan will remember this from back in his days at Green Bay, those big receivers that even if tonight when you had tight coverage, those guys can win with height.
Yeah, I appreciate the call, Porter. I mean, it is interesting because now we're starting to see the league, and Bryan, we know this from the previous draft class, it's a lot of smaller receivers that are having success coming into the league. That might be kind of an old, crusty view of it. You know, you do want bigger receivers, certainly at times, but, I mean, were we complaining about the receiving corps prior to getting your butt whooped today?
Number one offense in the league,
right? I mean, like, yeah, we can complain about that, sure, today, but
yeah, and
I don't think a 6'4" big receiver. I mean, you can throw it up to him in a contested ball situation. I don't think just because a guy's big means he's getting any more separation than the 5'11" guy.
I'm in that mode nowadays where give me the guys that create separation more so than the tall guys. You know, my guy at LSU, Neighbors, he's like 6 foot, 195 pounds. He separates. He goes and gets the ball. You know,
Tank Dell this year.
Dell, Keon Coleman at Florida State, big, tall guy. But sometimes big, tall guys don't separate. And so I understand, but I would rather have Dallas has done a good job with their receivers. Those guys are, I mean, you know, when you start to throw in Ferguson in there too, today was just a day they got covered. They got covered today. It was a bad day at the office for a lot of guys. You know, bad day at the office for the play caller, bad day at the office for the quarterback, bad day at the office of the receivers trying to get open, bad day at the office for the offensive line not blocking well enough. You know, give Buffalo some credit. You know, I don't think this offense is just after one game is you just throw it in the old S can. You know, it's to me there's a lot of really good things this offense has done, and I think today was a day they just got it taken to them a little bit.
And you know, Porter, you're right about Mozzie. A lot of people killing Mozzie, and it might take some time.
That's fine
for him to get going.
If they want to, just go ahead and kill him.
Some people are. I mean,
that's fine. If if I encourage you though, if you're going to kill a guy or kill these players, I encourage you find a way to get the NFL.com and get the all 22, and then educate yourself on it. Because if you want to kill him, make sure you know what you're talking about when you're killing him. Mm-hmm. You know, just don't throw it out there that that he's a first round bust. Have some factual stuff of why you don't like particular players, not just Mozzie, but all these guys, take a study, and that way you'll be better off for your opinions.
All right, we will get back to the phones. A lot of you still waiting, and we will get to you, I promise. Love the interaction, and I love the back and forth with all you. Also hear from Tyler Smith, Deone Clark. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
From retirement planning to insurance, SWBC has customized solutions to help individuals.
online order to get started today.
2nd and goal from the 3. Under center, Allen will give the ball to Murray, and he's going to be, oh no, he's crossing the goal line. Hold on, looks like they stopped him just short. Now it's a touchdown. Looked like a touchdown, they didn't signal touchdown, and finally Latavius Murray slithers in for the Buffalo touchdown to start the game.
One of 3 rushing touchdowns on the day for the Bills as they averaged over 5.4 yards a carry, 266 yards there on the ground, en route to a 31-10 win over the Cowboys. Zach Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Bryan Broaddus here on the official postgame show of your Dallas Cowboys. Brought to you by Blockchain. You don't need a complicated play to bring it into the end zone. That's why you should trust the team at blockchain.com to make buying, selling, and trading crypto easy. Play smarter, not harder with blockchain.com. And Bryan, my goodness, a lot of people certainly commenting about the linebacker play. Deone Clark, Marquise Bell. Yeah, you got some. Rashawn Evans got a lot of run today.
A little light. You play so much dime. It kind of finally caught up. You got a team that was committed to running the football today, and that's the big difference right there with Bell and Clark. And Clark's a big guy, but Bell down there in the box. I'm just curious. I know that Greg Olsen, they did an end zone shot that showed that the Cowboys had 6 in the box, and heck, it's kind of late in the game or in the middle of the third, and you're still. I guess it was the touchdown run that Cook had, and he said 6.5 in the box, and you're wondering, God, they're still playing with 6 in the box, and they're getting their ass handed to them like this.
It's concerning.
So yeah, that was that part of it was a little tough.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, let's go back out to the phones. We got Scott in Jersey. Scotty, what's going on, man?
Hey, guys, what's going on tonight? Tough game, right? Tough game. Thanks
Very
for the
tough.
call. I appreciate it. Just a couple of things I want to touch on tonight. We just didn't show up tonight, but we really have to start winning on the road. It's really an issue, and we have to win on the road. Tonight, I think there was no player. You can't blame it on the player. It was the offense and defensive coordinators that were at problem tonight. They did not make any adjustments. Like, how can you not make adjustments on either side? And I just want to make one more point. Why are we playing our starters that were down? We're down 30 points and we're playing with 6 minutes to go. Doesn't make sense. Injuries are a big part of this game, and I think they really should think about it. I don't know what they were thinking about. I know the stats, but I just want to say thanks for the call. I'll talk to you next week. Merry Christmas, guys. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you. Kind of feel like, though, I was to the point, too, about Dak not playing at the end of that one. I was, the way that the game was going right there, just put Cooper Rush in and, hand the ball off, try and get out of the game. Don't sustain any more injuries. I mean, you'd have felt terrible if here you are trying to run this 2-minute drill but Dak talked about it. He was saying it, he was trying to build on some things, trying to get a little momentum. I understand that, but to me, the game was over. Just find a way to, get yourself, situated. Don't take any unnecessary hits, and then move on to the next day. But that's part of it. I don't agree. I will say this. I think the offensive coordinator, the defensive coordinator, yes, had a bad day. I think the defense had a bad day. I think the offense had a bad day. I think there's a lot of people that had a bad day. I'm not going to sit there and point it, because usually you could say, okay, so-and-so played poorly today. But this was everybody that got on that airplane that went to Buffalo and played in that game had a bad day. Tony Pollard. I think Tony Pollard came to play today. I think if you had more effort than like you had with Tony Pollard, you'd have probably, maybe the game would have been a little bit more competitive. But that was just a butt kicking all around with everybody that got on that airplane.
All right, let's go ahead and pause 10 seconds so all stations to identify themselves across the Dallas Cowboys radio network.
Your turn it on, leave it on. Home of America's team is 105.3 The Fan.
Cholo, baby.
KRLD FM and HD1, Dallas Fort Worth.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Big time butt kicking, no doubt about that. 31-10, Bills beating the Cowboys. All right, let's go to Houston in Branson, Missouri. How you doing, sir?
Doing good. How are you guys?
We're doing all right.
Yeah, me too, I guess.
Yeah.
Just quickly wanted to say a lot of the problems that this team is having in this game and in the past when we've had them, this season, we're 10-4, so you got to remember that when you're wanting to bury everybody. But the play, you guys said it earlier, I don't mind Zach Martin protecting your quarterback, but that's just one of those things where it gets you. Story came out last week, Shanahan saying, hey, who can get under DK's skin? I feel like we're that team that you can poke us one time, we're going to do something stupid. And it's something that's been happening for a long time. We lead the league in penalties, or we're second or third almost every year. And then, our defense, well, it's built to play with the lead. Well, that's not going to really work out in the playoffs. You're going to play good teams. You're not going to have a 20-point lead in the second quarter. And then you're going to have our defenders, we've got Bell and Deone Clark, who are good. They're young. They're new. We get that. But they're also small. We don't have anybody right now, especially with Van Der Esch out. We got nobody on defense that I feel like carries the wood, that comes in and just smacks you. Could have possibly had Roquan Smith. He's got 136 tackles. Deone Clark leads our team with 59. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you, guys. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, they weren't going to sign Roquan Smith. And the thing about Roquan Smith, if you know him as a player, he's short. He's really a small guy. Hell of a player. Small guy, though.
Yeah.
They weren't going to do that, but right now that's what you're doing. There's, they tried to go out and they tried to go get, Shaq Leonard. Didn't work out. Shaq Leonard made the determination he wanted to go to the Philadelphia Eagles. They tried. The way they're going to fix this linebacker room is through the draft. That's how they're going to fix this thing, And I have to say I'm disappointed because I thought Deone Clark was going to play better this year.
I did too.
I think he's. Last year I understand because of the injuries and stuff. I mean, he was amazing that he even played, but him right now is not good enough at linebacker for what you need. You can mask a lot of that when people don't run the ball at you the way that the Buffalo Bills did. But Bell is another guy. Bell missing tackles today, surprising to me, because I was thinking if you wanted to spy Josh Allen, who would you probably have to tackle in the open field? Bell would be the guy. Bell more so than Clark, more so than Wilson, more so than Curse. But everybody missed tackles today.
And you bring up, Curse. You talk about guys that, you felt on this defense could be physical and lay the wood on people.
Yeah.
Your safeties, Curse and Donovan Wilson, were two of those guys.
Yeah.
Wilson had a good game last week.
The safeties played really well last week.
But, for the majority of the season, the safeties have been underwhelming. And I know Jaron Curse dealt with an injury, but to be honest, he's not been good.
No.
And, that's somebody that you are relying on. I mean, that's a leader of your defense. That's definitely somebody that would bring a physical attitude. And, more people are texting and move Micah to linebacker. Maybe that's something they try and do moving forward.
And then the time that you move Micah to linebacker, then where does he not play edge anymore? Do you just want to play full-time linebacker?
He is in a game like this where you're not really getting many opportunities to rush the passer anyway. I can understand it, but I don't know that just moving him off ball, that's taking away his biggest strength and attribute, which is getting after the passer.
I'm going to be interested to see how many times he was involved where the ball went right at him and he was blocked. That's what I'm interested in seeing tomorrow. I mean, was he on the edge and they had success? Because usually Tank plays really well on the edge. Sometimes you could get Golston to play well on the edge. Armstrong, they just physically did not hold up very well on the perimeter at all.
Let's go to Craig in Brock. Craig, how you doing, sir?
Hey, guys. I appreciate you taking my call. Quick question for y'all, man. I mean, how concerning is it that it seems like we only have one formula in order to win, and going to the playoffs, we know that's usually not the formula it takes to win, and that's getting up by a bunch of points and being able to rush the passer. How concerned do y'all think that is moving forward?
Yeah,
and do we have the personnel to even do anything with that?
Yeah, it's a concern. I mean, if somebody physically wants to be committed to running the football, this is a problem. And we saw it in Carolina. I felt like Carolina, if they, the thing about it is you have to deal with Dallas's offense. And tonight, the formula was you stop Dallas's offense, which Buffalo did. San Francisco did the same thing. Now what do? Okay, now we could dictate how we're going to play. Dallas makes people very one-dimensional because their offense scores a lot of points.
Mm-hmm.
Their offense puts a lot of pressure on you. You can't sit there and just be committed to running the football.
Sure, yeah.
Because if you play really good defense against Dallas and you hold their receivers in check and their tight end in check and their quarterback who's been an MVP candidate for a while now, you hold all of them in check, you're damn right you can run the football and you can expose them for – but if you can't do that, you're in for a Seattle game. That's what you're in for.
Yeah, which they did come back. I mean, they were trailing in that one. They came back and won, but it is certainly concerning, especially when we talked about this in the playoffs. Like, I get it. It's a pass-happy league. Everybody wants to throw the ball around. You get into December, January football, teams are going to run it. And if you can't stop the run and you can't run the football, at least keep a defense honest, you're not going to go very far.
No.
And this team can't stop the run against a team that wants to be committed and run it on them.
Yeah, but that's again, they never offensively forced Buffalo to have to go away from the run.
No, I mean, you put up some points, now all of a sudden, okay.
Yeah,
maybe we can't just run the ball every play.
You go touchdown for touchdown. Just keep going back and forth. Then all of a sudden, they're not going to run the ball for 275 yards.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to make Josh Allen have to make throws. You never put Josh Allen in any kind of deal where he could turn the ball over.
No. And that's another part of this where the defense was scoring. Special teams, you've gotten special teams touchdowns with the turnover. And unfortunately, you weren't able to get that today.
Nothing.
A big key to winning. And when the Bills have lost this year, they've had 2 or more turnovers. If you could have forced 2 turnovers today, and they forced 1, unfortunately, you didn't get the challenge in. Yeah. But if you could have forced 2, I felt good about the Cowboys winning. They didn't get any today.
None.
You lose. All right, we'll get back to the phones. I know you guys are keeping it popping. Certainly have a lot to vent about, and we want to hear from you. 877-881-1053. Keep the text going. The phone line's open. We'll also hear from Tyler Smith and Deone Clark. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Every moment, every touchdown, every yard is a reason to celebrate. If anyone knows that, Ciroc does.
Miller time.
Prescott under center. There's a little reverse to Lamb coming around to the right. Breaks a tackle at the 2 and dives in for the touchdown.
Well, I didn't know if we'd get a drive of the game, but we did. That was it. 15 plays, 80 yards in 5.5 minutes, and it ended with a CeeDee Lamb touchdown run from 3 yards out. His third rushing touchdown of the season. Drive of the game brought to you by Ford, your Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. Zach Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Bryan Broaddus here on the official postgame show of the Dallas Cowboys after a 31-10 Bills win over your Cowboys. And Tyler Smith, who for the most part has been fantastic this year, having a Pro Bowl, All-Pro type of season at left guard. He did have a bad holding penalty that negated one of the Cowboys' opening drive of the game, where 9-yard run for Pollard. They're in Buffalo territory. You have the hold. It comes back, really kills the drive. But Tyler catching up with the media postgame.
How disappointing was it? Because this is a period of time where you guys are trying to look at these as almost playoff games and get yourself ready for the competition and play poorly.
I mean, obviously, it's extremely disappointing. Every week you go out and you want to win. The guys, myself included, put so much work into this thing. And, when you don't get the results you want, it can be crushing at times. But, we're not going to let ourselves get down. We're not going to let this game define us. We just got to come back, put together another great week of work. And then, come and answer next Sunday, the Dolphins. That's what it's all about. So I got the utmost faith in the squad. We're going to come out and answer it the right way. No problem.
Sweet home and away. Is that something for a player that's almost kind of frustrating or baffling because it is something that's a little bit ambiguous, to say it's home versus away?
I mean, I definitely try to keep, the same mindset regardless of where we are. But, there are obviously extenuating factors, crowd noise and whatnot. But, regardless of that, we got to play the way we know we can play. We know we're a great team, and it's up to us to prove that week in and week out, regardless if we're in Dallas or, away from Dallas. And so, I think the most important thing for us is just putting together, another great week of work and just coming back and, playing the way we know we can play.
Does it help that you have multiple road games coming up?
I mean, absolutely. It's going to definitely answer those questions. We're really going to look inward on who we are, the expectation that we've set for ourselves, how we should play for each other, how we should play every week. Because, at the end of the day, we got our eyes on the big prize, but we got to take it week by week at the same time. So it starts with the Dolphins for sure.
It does. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about the NFL, right? You get to go back out there and prove yourself again next Sunday, and it'll be on the road against another team that's very capable of running the football on you.
Yeah, the road woes, who knows? I mean, you're looking for answers and stuff like that. But again, we haven't seen anybody just physically be committed to running the football against the Cowboys like you have with what Buffalo did today. And so I wonder if it's just, is it a physicality level that you're dealing with, whether it's road or at home? I do believe that when you play at home, though, you do a great job of creating turnovers. You do a great job of the crowd with the noise, I think affects, but you're also the way you play offense. I mean, it just seems like you hum along and you put up so much points that you make people very one-dimensional. And I just wonder if the recipe for beating Dallas is find a way to frustrate the offense and just run the hell out of the football. That's where that would be the game plan. If you said, give me how to beat the Cowboys, I would say clog it up for Dak, make him have to read it, or make these receivers have to run routes against clogged up coverages, and then run the ball like hell.
Yeah.
You're don't
right.
let their pass rush get to you.
Sure.
Because, and the weather really had nothing to do with today's game. I mean, the weather had absolutely nothing to do, in my opinion.
No, the first half, weather was good.
Nothing.
Certainly started raining there in the second, but you're right. I mean, you look at their 4 road losses outside of the Philadelphia game, which really a couple plays here and there. Yeah. And, I mean, you can probably go back and nitpick at it.
Well, Dak played great in that game.
But the offense was solid, right?
Yeah, Philadelphia never stopped.
It was a close football game.
Yeah.
You had a chance to win it at the end, and then they fumbled the bag on that. But the Cardinals game, they put up 16 points. Offense wasn't good.
They were awful.
The run, they ran all over them.
Yeah.
Certainly the 49ers game, and now this game, they put up 10 points on offense in both.
Right.
So, I mean, I think you're very right. The second you start to apply a little bit of offensive pressure, that's when play callers will say, okay, well, I can't just keep running the football.
Right.
Now I've got to try and keep up with the opposing offense.
Yeah.
We got to start throwing it a little bit. That feeds into the Cowboys.
Yeah, Dallas will make you every once in a while, all of a sudden they score, and then they'll get a turnover, and then they find a way, and then they score again, and then all of a sudden now you're throwing the ball, and then here's Deone Bland's going to pick one. Now, now you're giving up 21 points, and now you're not even thinking about running. Buffalo was comfortable today knowing that Dallas wasn't going to move the football on them. You know, that they got into a mode after the first half. It was like, well, hell, we'll make these receivers have to deal with this coverage. We'll make the quarterback have to deal with the coverage. Our offense is doing a great job of just hammering them and keeping the defense, they really kept the ball away from Dallas's offense. But Dallas's offense wasn't going to do anything.
No.
You
Which
know?
was really disheartening because I thought that was a secondary you could make plays on. And with the way the Cowboys offense had been humming along coming into this game, outside of maybe elements being a factor to nullify that passing attack, I thought they'd have success. Turned out the elements really weren't bad, and it was the Bills stepping up and playing very good defense in the secondary.
It was more about the Bills and the way they played coverage, which was able to just affect the way Dallas played offense. And then but also the Bills' offense of just keeping the ball away from Dallas's offense as well.
All right, let's go back to the phones, 877-881-1053. Let's go to line 5, Robert in Richardson. Robert, what's up? Oh, Robert, you there? Robert is swinging a miss. All right, let's go to Ray in Mesquite. Ray, you're on the official postgame show of the Dallas Cowboys. What do you got for us?
Hey, when the weekend started, the Cowboys had a possibility of not even making the playoffs. And as of today, they're in the playoffs. So you got to be in it to win it. So that's a positive thing there. And it's not how you're playing now. It's how you're going to be playing a month from now when the playoffs start. And there's no better example than that other team that plays in Arlington, the Rangers. When they lost the division on the last game, everybody said there's no way. They've got to go to Tampa Bay, 100-game winner on the road, Baltimore, 106-game winner on the road, and the defending champion Astros. Nobody would have thought they was going to win the World Series, but they did because they got hot at the right time.
Yeah, I appreciate the call, Ray. You're right. You want to be, now's the time. You want to be playing your best football in December. You got 3 games left. So they need to start. You won 5 in a row. Your win streak snapped. Now you need to build another win streak.
Well, you need to go to Miami and not allow what happened today to you offensively and defensively to happen again. You know, that right there is that would be, to me, that would be line 1. Don't go out there and play as poorly as you did on both sides of the football and on special teams as well.
I did like the comparison, though, with the Rangers. Maybe they can call over, talk with Corey Seager or Marcus Simeon because they were road warriors. Rangers didn't lose at all on the road in the postseason.
Sure didn't.
So if you need some road help, maybe you can
They're
get
the
some
opposite
friends.
of the Dallas Cowboys right
Absolutely.
now. Yeah.
You can call over and say, hey, man, what led to all that success you had there on the road? Because we could use some of that mojo over here with the Cowboys. All right, let's go to line 7, Tyler in Dallas. Tyler, what's up, man? You're on the official postgame show of the Cowboys.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Appreciate y'all taking my call. Here's the thing, right? Every time this team loses, this is what it comes down to, it seems like, for the fans. It's, the quarterback's not good enough. We're not good enough here. The fact of the matter is, as bad as this game was, 3 key plays early on in that football game allowed it to get to where it was, right? You look at the roughing the passer, say that doesn't happen, maybe you hold them to 3. Should have blocked a punt. Now all of a sudden you got some momentum and not challenging the fumble call. Those 3 plays, if those swing your way, all of a sudden momentum's on your side and we're looking at a different ball game. So I think everybody just kind of needs to pump the brakes, right? I mean, I think we've seen this as a very good football team. You didn't have it today. You got another test next week on the road. But just let it play out, man. I mean, it's a good football team. We need to enjoy it.
Can I ask you a question?
Those are my thoughts.
Can I ask
Yes,
you a
sir.
question? How do you account for the 275 yards rushing?
That was a problem, right? And
Yeah,
something that needs-
I appreciate all your 3 points. And I think you're right. I think maybe some things would change. I don't think you were able to stop their running game at all. even with all those things that you had that you just said, which you did a great job of. I think the 275 yards rushing was a huge problem.
Yeah, I appreciate the hopium there, Tyler, because I mean we broke that down, and I think you're absolutely right. Certainly the first half could have gone a very different way. Dak even talked about it if he hits Brandon Cooks.
Yeah.
Where Cooks is open, now it's 7-7, and now some of the things that we were talking about where now you're putting pressure on the Bills to score as well.
Yeah, that's how the Cowboys win. They put a lot of pressure on you to have to score along with them.
Yeah.
And running the football does not lead to a lot of points.
No, the scary thing is when this is just kind of a trend, and I don't want to use the word blueprint necessarily, but against the physical opponents, and we know the one that is lingering in the NFC that's knocked you out of the postseason the last 2 years that you're most likely going to end up now because of the way the seeding's looking, probably going back to San Francisco in the second round of the playoffs, depending on how things play out the next 3 weeks. It still doesn't seem like you're quite ready to beat that team.
Unless you could get the Rams to win out of the 7
That'd
seed.
be nice.
Yeah. Send them, and you'd have to go to probably Philadelphia.
And maybe the Rams could. The Rams are playing good football.
That's what I'm saying, man. To me, I trust the Rams. If all these teams that are, to me, the Rams are a lot like Buffalo in a way they're playing
starting to get hot at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Then they're healthy. Yep. That's always been the issue with the Rams. They're a little top heavy. And now they're healthy, and you got Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. Really, Kyron Williams, their running back, has been the stabilizer of that offense. That dude's been absolutely incredible since he's gotten back into the lineup. And then maybe you can get some help. But I think that's the concern of Cowboy fans is how you've been eliminated in the postseason in these big games. And if you can't stop the run, then how far can you really go?
Yeah, you need if you're talking about opium. You need the Rams to get into this thing, go to Philadelphia and knock them out. And as the 7th seed, then have to go to San Francisco the following week. And then And
you take care of business against the NFC South champ and then play maybe the Lions.
Maybe the Lions.
We'll see how good the Lions are when they come to play you.
Exactly.
And the next thing you know, could you host the Rams in the NFC Championship game? Look at us.
And then the Rams.
Look at us over here getting a little wild and crazy.
And then the Rams knock off San Francisco, and next thing you know, you're hosted.
Rematch of a blowout win that you had earlier in the year where the Rams looked dead and buried. You never know. As you said, the NFL is a strange lady. That's why I hate it where it's like, man, you've beaten up on bad teams. The Eagles lost to the Jets. The Dolphins, the team everyone's now going to be scared of, they lost to the Titans 2 weeks ago. All these guys get paid. They're all professionals. There's no easy wins in the NFL. And the way the Cowboys were beating down those bad teams, I get it. Yeah. Did it make you feel good? Did they maybe drink the Kool-Aid a little bit as a team, start feeling themselves? Very possible. But it's hard to continuously beat teams by 20-plus in the NFL. The Cowboys were doing that. Today they got some humble pie. And they got to circle the wagons like the Bills do and go back to the drawing board and come out and beat the Dolphins next week. That's how it goes in the NFL. All right, let's get back to the phones before we break. Then we'll keep it going. Well, you guys are doing a great job keeping the lines open. Let's go to William in Arlington. William, what's cooking?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? Thanks for having me on again. I've called in the past few weeks. So I'm not surprised we did lose today. I am surprised we got beat down. But I'm not going to talk about that because everybody's talked about that ad nauseum. So moving forward, obviously, now we're in the playoffs. Obviously, San Francisco has the NFC on lockdown. They've got that. There's only about probably a 40% chance that we win the NFC East. But there is probably an 80% chance or better that we're going to be the top-seeded wildcard team. And as you stated, it only takes one loss to get home field advantage. But I want to talk about something. The reason I'm still not concerned, this team reminds me a lot of the 2006 Indianapolis Colts. I remember for years, everybody said that Peyton Manning couldn't win the big game. He'd never win a Super Bowl. And that year, over the past 5, 6, 7 games, that defense, even with Dwight Freeney and Booger McFarland and Bob Sanders, they gave up almost 140 or 50 yards rushing per game, and everybody was saying they couldn't stop the run. They finished 12-4. The fourth to the last game of the season, they went to Jacksonville and got hammered by 30 points. Jacksonville was a 500 team. But when they got to the playoffs, man, they held every team under 100 yards rushing, and then they went to Baltimore in round 2. They had to win 3 games to get to the Super Bowl. Went to Baltimore in round 2. They held Jamal Lewis to 60 yards rushing. That was one of the all-time great defenses. They won a Super Bowl. And I'll close with this. When you think about it, even if we don't get a home game, right, the reason I'm not concerned about San Francisco is not because we're better than them, because we're not, but because we're due. I'm definitely not concerned about Philadelphia because Dak does have their number. And then when you think about the other teams that we're going to be playing, first of all, if we luck up and get a home game, we're at home in a dome. But if you play Detroit, you're playing in a dome. It's not home, but it is favorable to our style of play. If you happen to play in New Orleans or in Atlanta, you're going to be playing in the dome. Not concerned about Tampa Bay. And then if we make it to the Super Bowl, once again, unless the weather is perfect, you're going to be playing in a dome in Las Vegas. So what I'm saying is Dak is going to win a Super Bowl eventually. We do win in bunches. Yes, everybody likes to, rag on us when we're down, and I understand. But I'm just saying that it's not as doom and gloom as one would think, and I think the 2006 Colts are a great example of that.
I appreciate the call, William. The only issue is, and you brought up his name, who's the Bob Sanders walking through that door?
Yeah.
Bob Sanders missed virtually the entire 2006 regular season, which is why the Colts defense run defensively was so bad. He shows up for the postseason. That got corrected because of him. You don't have somebody come. It's not like Leighton Vander Esch is coming back this year, right? I mean, and you miss Jonathan Hankins today, and Hankins makes a big difference, but Hankins isn't defending the edge. So you just don't have that type of impact player that is going to come in defensively and kind of salvage that issue like the Colts had and get that jolt in the arm from Bob Sanders that year. But I do love the comparison with Dak and Peyton Manning, maybe. Everyone was. Peyton Manning can't win the playoffs. A lot of similarities there, and then eventually Manning finally did it. And then there's people probably that are laughing and rolling their eyes like, Dak and Peyton Manning, what a comparison. But I like the positive spin there. I appreciate it, William.
Yeah, that's good.
877-881-1053, the number to call, the number to text. We will, of course, break down the rest of the National Football League. We'll hear from Deone Clark, but we'll keep hearing from you. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
Did you know that responding to one spam call can lead to more? Or that the IRS would never ask for your social security number on the phone? Beat scammers at their own game by subscribing to AARP Fraud Watch Network alerts and texts.
That's myplates.com.
Tyler Bass going to try a 23-yard field goal from the right hash. And that easy kick is good, and the Bills lead the Cowboys late third quarter, 24-3.
It's our defensive stand of the game, brought to you by Reliant, an NRG company. Do want to remind you, Cowboys fans, Whataburger is rewarding you for helping out our local communities. From now until December 18th, you can stop by your hometown Whataburger to donate $1 to the Salvation Army and receive a Whataburger burger with the purchase of a medium fry and 32-ounce drink. That's a hell of a deal. So make sure you stop by and get your delicious Whataburger, as the Cowboys didn't have a whole lot of defensive stops in this one, but
no,
we tried.
Have to give it to somebody, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Did see this back and forth from our guy John Machota, from Jason Garrett and Chris Sims on their thoughts on Football Night in America about the Cowboys' loss. Garrett said, quote, Dallas has been so good throughout the year playing the game on their terms. They get out ahead and they run the football. Their defense gets wild and goes rushing the quarterback. Today, it was a different story. Buffalo ran at them. The physicality of the Bills was the difference. Chris Sims, the physicality when teams run the ball on them, it changes them. This is where I'm a little concerned. The last 10 Super Bowl winners, they have not had a double-digit loss in December. So you don't see a Super Bowl team lose the way the Cowboys did today. That's a little concerning to me. Jason Garrett went on to talk about the Cowboys' home field advantage. He said, quote, they are so dominant at home, they bludgeon opponents. When they've gone on the road, they are playing a different team in a tough environment. That's why this home field advantage is so big for them in the playoffs. It looks like they are going to have to go on the road if they want to go all the way. And he's right, because they lost today.
Yeah.
And that's also why we did talk about the desperate team theory and big picture. The Bills probably needed this more, and they played like it. But it was so darn important for the Cowboys, too, because of any hope to get that one seed really went out the window with the loss today.
Yeah, it did. And, the more I just sit here and the more I realize, though, they always tell us about complementary football, right? And so when the Cowboys offense does really, really well, the defense usually follows suit, right? Pretty much.
Yes.
They had that rough game against Seattle where it got a little crazy there. But what happened? Defense made some stops at the end of the game.
Yep.
The 3 4th down stops.
Last 3 drives.
Yeah. Tank and those guys did a hell of a job with that. But the more I realize this, if you stop the Cowboys offense, which not many teams can do, you can go after their defense. That's where this is at right now. You just have to be good enough on defense to not allow Dallas to move the ball.
Sure.
And if you could do that and you keep this thing you keep it to where you can dictate what you want to do. I would be terrified of 2 things if I played the Cowboys. Their explosive plays on offense and their pass rush on defense. I'm going to do anything in my power to eliminate having to deal with either one of those things. I'm going to be committed to playing defense to the point where I am not going to let you have big plays. I think that's what Buffalo did today. I think Buffalo just said, we're not. We saw they got in that too high look a couple of times, and they just said, we're not going to let you have big plays. Yeah. And when you can eliminate the big plays, and when Dallas isn't converting 3rd downs, that's another problem. But all of a sudden it turns into, wait a minute, Dallas isn't scoring points. Dallas is not making us become one-dimensional on our side. Let's be committed to running the football. And we haven't seen anybody. Buffalo, to me, is the first team that became committed to running the football, because I think they were that nervous about Dallas's big plays on offense and their pass rush on defense.
Yeah.
But you have to be able to do it on defense against them.
Sure.
You can't sit there and do it part of the time. I felt like that the entire game Buffalo played at the level that they needed to win that football game. They did on defense.
They covered well. They got pressure. They were smothering. They
created
tackled
a turnover.
Well. They got a turnover.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I don't know, we'll see how healthy the Dolphins are next week. I think Xavier and Howard missed their game yesterday.
And the Jets are pretty good on defense, though, right?
Jets are good on defense.
Yeah.
And offensively, Miami scares you.
Yeah.
With the speed that they've got, with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, who missed the game today. We'll have to monitor and see how he is during the week. But, I mean, they have difference makers with Achane, the running back out of Texas A&M, who's a speed demon, back healthy. Raheem Mostert, who leads the league in touchdowns this year, just set a new record for rushing touchdowns for a Miami Dolphin. Yeah. 20. Yeah. So, with those two guys, they can go ahead and say we're going to line up and we want to run the football on you. Because I think they might be scared and feel the same because their offensive line is so hurt right now. I mean, can they go ahead and avoid lining up and unless their defense can't slow down the Cowboys, which that's got to be your hope.
Yeah, that's the thing about it is I don't think anybody wants to get in a shootout with Dallas. I just don't. I think that they want to, if you somehow, some way play really solid defense and then keep the game in check, and then now you could do things like what we saw with Buffalo, run the football. Buffalo was not interested in throwing the ball today.
No, they weren't.
They just, once they knew that Dallas's offense wasn't going to light them up, they're like, damn, the best thing that we could do is run the football right now and help our defense.
Yeah.
Not have to. They went on 8-minute drive, 9-minute drive.
Oh man, I mean they were
crazy.
Going, I believe in the first half, they were the first NFL team in the last 30 years to have 3 touchdown drives of 11 or more plays and 75 or more yards in the first half of a game.
There you go.
Those were long, sustained drives. So, I mean, we'll see. I just can't envision the Cowboys putting up back-to-back offensive stinkers like that. And I don't know that the Dolphins' front 7 with some of the injuries they've had is as good as maybe what the Bills played with today. But they've got 2 really good corners. Jeez. And, as the 940 talked about, Javon Holland, they're very good safety from Oregon, probably back next week. So the secondary is probably one of the better ones that you've played if they're healthy.
I just looking at the numbers. They're second in the league in yards, first in TDs, as you mentioned, first in yards per attempt, 14th in attempts. As to me, that let's see how
this is an offensive. You need your offense this coming Sunday.
You're going to now.
You're going to have them
now. Defensively, on the flip side of that, though, when you look at Miami's defense, they're 17th on attempts, 12th in yards, 17th in touchdown, 13th in interceptions, 10th in yards per attempt. So they're kind of a borderline. They're kind of a borderline top 12 defense, maybe. When you look at it
probably
overall,
sneaky better than you thought they were.
Yeah, and if they, all of a sudden you hold Dallas in check, and here comes the running game.
Yeah,
I think that's the way to beat Dallas. Don't let them rush you don't let them rush you on the pass rush, and run the football like hell. When you get the opportunity.
All right, let's go back out to the phones. 877-881-1053 with Zach Wolchuk and the Super Bowl winning scout Bryan Broaddus here on the official postgame show of your Dallas Cowboys. We got Daryl calling in for Bullard. Daryl, what's up?
Guys, you guys do a great job. I've been trying to get you since the Niner game, and thank God I hadn't because I threw the towel in. And I just got to give McCarthy and Dak all the credit in the world. CD was, crying about his touches, and they used motion, almost a mimic of what the Niners did. And I got to tell you guys, I've been shocked offensively. Like, oh, my God, we got action. With that said, today I'm not mad at Dak nor the offense. I thought he missed that one to Cooks, but it happens. But the Seattle game defensively opened my eyes to where, Bryan and Zach, when you say, okay, we got to do it this way, we got to be ahead, to me that's not a sign of a great defense when everything has to be perfect because guess what? It's not always going to be. And today was reminiscent the first half of the Niner game where we stopped them 3 drives, and there were personal foul penalties that aided the Niners, and then it got ugly. But, guys, I won't use the Q word quit, but when a team runs for 300 yards and nobody saw that coming, there were times and snaps I felt like Cowboy defenders were playing tag and giving the Buffalo running back that was headed to the outside a head start. So I've been listening. I hadn't heard that, but the effort today was very disheartening. And I got to tell you this, Micah's my favorite Cowboy, but he's not big in the bridges like a Bosa or like a T.J. Watt or a Donald. So we have a problem because the blueprint to me is run right at him. And it's not his fault, but that's a reality. So Dan Quinn, what can he use to manipulate this problem, which I think it is, because, Bryan, you said, hey, they thought, well, why do we stop running? But every team is going to run now, I believe, because they feel like we can't stop it. And it's scary. So I just wanted your 2 cents on that, because I hope this is a blip on the radar. But I'm looking at Mozzie Smith. He has all the girth and bricks in the pocket in the world, but nothing in the middle like a Russell Maryland. So I'm just scared of the Rams, Tampa Bay, because any team in the first round, because I think that's what we're playing, they're going to run at us, guys. So I need some therapy, and I'll listen to you out there.
You're going to get running game the next. You're going to get running game the next 2 weeks. But the thing about it, I will go to my grave on this one. You better be able to slow Dallas's offense down if you want to just be committed to running the football. Because if Dallas will continue, today, Dallas met a defense that limited all their big plays. But all of a sudden, you don't cover CeeDee Lamb. You don't cover Ferguson. You don't handle Pollard. You don't handle Dak throwing the ball. You don't get pass rush. The minute that happens, and all of a sudden you just want to run the football, you might find yourself down a couple scores.
Yeah,
trying to still run the football. So a lot of this has to do with Dallas's offense to be able to help their defense here. Because, like I say, if you're committed to running the football, then you better be scoring points while you're doing it.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you on that, and
because I don't see Dallas. We'll see. We'll see.
Getting that run game stuff corrected?
No, well, the thing about it is, I don't see Dallas's offense having another bad game like this.
They haven't done it back-to-back weeks.
But you have to be. And the problem that I have was I didn't think Buffalo's secondary was all that great.
Me either.
And that's what's scaring me right now.
Yes.
If you're able to control Dallas, their passing game with the secondary that allows some of the most separation of any other defensive groups in the league, they're near the bottom when it comes to tight window throws. They're big on wide open throws.
They're terrible over the middle of the field.
Yeah. If you're not moving the ball on that secondary, then maybe there is more problems than that.
I mean, I'm definitely with you, Daryl, when it comes to playing against, even Detroit in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Who will line up and smash you in the mouth with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery.
Yeah.
I mean, you're
really good play caller.
Yeah.
You're about to hit
good
back,
offense.
Yeah, you're about to hit back-to-back play callers that are whiz kids when it comes to manipulating offense. With McDaniel and then also my guy at Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Dallas has to figure out offensively what happened in this game.
Yeah,
because their offense is the one that's going to carry them. That's what teams fear. That's what they fear. They fear your pass rush, but they fear your offense more, your ability to put up a bunch of points.
Yeah, I appreciate the call from Daryl. I think the points he made about Micah were also true. I'm interested to see how many times they ran at him. I am as well. And, for a guy that we hype up as the best defensive player in the NFL, I mean, I've had a lot of people reach out about his body language. And yes, I think Micah was definitely frustrated. But yeah, I think that we have seen in certain games he has been neutralized at times. And if you're able to take away the pass rushing ability, where else can he affect the game? And we do see some of the Myles Garretts, the TJ Watts, the others that are in the conversations with him. They've got more abilities to dictate the game than just the pass rush.
I think Tank is your best run defender when it comes to your defensive lineman, myself. But, as far as your edges go, I would be interested to see how those other big-time pass rushers play. I'm sure Bosa.
Yeah.
I'm sure Bosa's one of these guys that, when you watch him play, there's some complete, there's some completeness to his game. But I wonder how much the Garretts of the world probably play, I'm not going to sit there and act like I watch every single game Cleveland plays. But I'm interested in some of these other elite pass rushers how much are they really playing in the run game as well?
And moving forward, do they decide to mix up some things with Micah? Maybe play him. I don't think you're playing him off ball all the time. I don't think that's a good idea. But maybe situationally you do.
Yep.
And then, certain obvious pass rushing situations, there he goes back and he's rushing the passer. I mean, I'm sure Dan Quinn will. One thing about Dan Quinn, and credit to Mike McCarthy, they made adjustments after the bye, but DQ is always week to week. He's figuring things out.
Oh, he's got another tough one this week.
He did. This week's going to be a challenge.
Maybe an even better offense.
Yeah. Certainly with the skill set. And today, with no Tyreek Hill, with a banged-up offensive line, the way Tua played, give that man his flowers. They came out and performed today. All right, we will hear more from you. Line's still full. We appreciate it. Plus, Deone Clark, you're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
And they snap it to Prescott, who looks right. It's not there. He escapes left. He'll run for a first down.
Just like football, when it comes to crypto, it's important to have a team you can trust. With blockchain.com, I know I'm in good hands. Since 2011, they've been trusted by millions around the world to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrency.
Prescott's going to run this himself. Run it up the middle, and he scores.
Whether you're new to crypto or an active trader, they've got you covered. What are you waiting for? Get started at blockchain.com.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed? Because no two people sleep the same. Only the Sleep Number smart bed lets you each choose your individual firmness and comfort, your Sleep Number setting. The Climate 360 smart bed is so smart, it actively cools or warms up to 13 degrees on either side for your ideal sleep temperature. And now save 40% on the Sleep Number Special Edition smart bed for a limited time. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Apply now to the University of North Texas Dallas Cowboys online MBA in Sport Entertainment Management. This unparalleled graduate degree combines UNT's high-caliber Tier 1 academics with a world-class business expertise of the Dallas Cowboys. Designed for the working professional with immersive in-person boot camps and online courses, the program can be completed in 12 to 24 months. UNT, a proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Don't fumble your wax routine. This season, not only are the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders hitting the field with smooth moves, but with smooth skin and cowboy confidence. Our official partners at European Wax Center are the best in the waxing game. Know what's better than a 1st and 10? Scoring your first wax free. Go to waxcenter.com to find a location near you. That's waxcenter.com.
Cowboys football and Miller Lite. What a pairing. Can cracks at kickoff. Tailgates going way past postgame. Sunday night overtimes followed by Monday morning swagger. Brisket in the smoker. Miller Lite in the cooler. America's team playing America's greatest sport. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys football tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2023 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
Cowboys Nation is big because everything's bigger in Texas. And Reliant has the energy to power it all. From home field advantage to home sweet home, Reliant has Dallas Cowboys fans all across the Lone Star State covered for every electric moment this season and beyond. Reliant, proud to be the official energy provider of your Dallas Cowboys.
Reliant, PUCT number 10007.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
4th down, officially 3. At the Buffalo 27, Prescott back, standing, looking, fakes the check down, runs up the middle, 1st down, taken off his feet at the 20.
There you go. That's our what a play of the game. Dak using his legs, big 1st down there to convert as what looked like a promising drive that I do believe fell short due to the holding call, but still big play in the game. And that's brought to you by WinStars, the casino of the Dallas Cowboys. WinStar knows what it means to be a star with over 10,000 of your favorite electronic games. The all-new 2-story WinStar Spa and Cascades. They're a luxury pool complex. WinStar really is the place to feel like a star. Please game responsibly. This one wasn't an easy one to pick a play of the game because there weren't a ton of good ones, but we tried.
It's our job, right?
It's our job. Made it happen.
I just, there's so many things that, I have so many questions after a game like this. I have so many questions in my mind that I hope that I'm able to kind of look at everything that needs to be looked at. I just want to make sure that, point of attack stuff, backside stuff, blocking, routes, coverage. I mean, I need like 2 days. I gotta get up in the morning and get this thing done so we have it on our broadcast and things like that. But
you can always catch Brian's film breakdowns 2:40 on the flagship 105.
We'll have it tomorrow.
G-Bag Nation.
But it's gonna be a battle tomorrow. But I'm interested to see. After a loss like this, especially, you learn a lot. You do. I mean, you hate that your team lost, but you learn okay, what's something that going forward that could be a problem here.
Yeah.
I think, you
got to make these corrections.
Got to make the corrections. Yep.
All right, let's hear from Deone Clark, who has been a subject of conversation. And Deone Clark's had some really good games, and he struggled at times. I think tonight, really the whole defense struggled, but you need your linebackers to perform. And here was Deone Clark postgame.
Why was it that you guys weren't able to find a way to stop the run, given that reality that you probably were needing to focus on stopping?
It was a tough one. Like I said, we didn't play our standard of ball. They beat us today. Like I said, we just gotta correct it. Look ourselves in the mirror, have tough skin, and get ready for Miami.
What's the message from McCarthy, from Dan Quinn, just now in the locker room with you guys in terms of how to bounce back from a game like this?
I mean, obviously, we know that wasn't our standard. We know the journey that we want to go on, and there's going to be obstacles along the way. We just got to stay together. Just stay together, and like I say, just keep fighting with one another. That's going to be adversity. Adversity to make you stronger or make you fold. I know the guys in this locker room, we're not going to fold. They knocked us out. We got hit. It's about how you're going to respond.
Is there any solace in the fact that this team has qualified for the playoffs that obviously haven't with the
I mean, we just got to be where our feet are right now. We got to be where our feet at. Our feet is, today. Like I say, it's going to come. Be where our feet at. Don't worry about nothing down the line. We got to worry about the task at hand right now. That's the big thing. When the playoffs get here, the playoffs get here. We know what we have to do. But first, to start off with correcting the film from the day.
Deone Clark afterwards. And, yeah, I mean, they're going to have to go back to the drawing board, watch the film. Probably going to be a tough watch.
Yeah, you can watch it on the plane home. Mm-hmm. Long flight.
Maybe they've watched it by now.
Oh, yeah. That's. I remember many a day sitting in seat 18A. Watching that film and then having Sean Lee walk by and explain to me what happened on a plane.
How nice is that, though?
That was so cool.
You got a question? Hey, Sean.
No, I mean, he would walk by and he would see me looking at the film and he goes, hey, flip forward to his. So I'd flip forward. He goes, let me tell you about this play right here. And he would he'd be standing in the aisle, breaking down plays for us right there. So it was always really cool. But
really neat.
Yeah, they're probably looking at it and they're going to look at it again tomorrow. And, you got to, I think it's going to be pretty simple. I think it's pretty simple that the physicality of it. But here I am, the statement before I talked about there's so many things I'm looking forward to seeing. But I just feel like, though, but if you can bottle up Dallas's offense, that makes it hard on their defense.
Sure does. Puts a lot of pressure on them.
Yeah.
And neither, you talked about the complimentary football. I mean, they were able to do it against Seattle. Defense was struggling. Offense came out, balled out. Then your defense came through and got some stops when you needed to. Somewhat in the Philly game as well. Defense struggled. Offense got it together. Then the defense was able to get some stops late in that one as well. The one in Philly, offensively, unfortunately, you couldn't execute down the stretch. But today, really in both these blowout losses, offense hasn't shown up and the defense hasn't been able to stop San Francisco or Buffalo.
Yeah, that's the problem. When it's a loss, it's a pretty bad loss on both sides of the ball. And then kicking the special team stuff today with the with the fact That punt's got to be blocked.
Would have been such a huge play in the game.
That punt has
Massive
got
play.
to be blocked. It absolutely has to be blocked. And you got a guy home, and that's probably what Bones Fossil was trying to explain to Mike that, hey, we called at a game inside and we get our guy free, but that's you gotta get that done.
877-881-1053, the number to call, the number to text. We'll get back to the phones here in just a moment. But right now, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification across the Dallas Cowboys radio network.
Your turn it on, leave it on. Home of America's team is 105.3 The Fan. Hello, baby. KRLD FM and HD1, Dallas Fort Worth.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
All right, let's empty the lines. A lot of you have been waiting very patiently. Let's go to Gary in Dallas. Gary, you're on with Zach Wolchuk and Bryan Broaddus.
Hey, you guys. Love listening to you guys. Zach, especially your baseball takes, and Bryan, I love all your Cowboys takes.
Thank you.
You're just not that good with your picks because you pick with your heart, but I know you know your stuff.
Yeah, the only pick I was wrong about this year, the only one I've missed was the Arizona game. That was the only game and then until this one.
Today.
I was wrong about that. I was the only one on the station, I think, that picked Dallas.
Yeah, you might have been.
Yeah, I think me and Sean.
With the heart there, Gary.
Maybe me and Sean. But go ahead, Gary. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, sir.
No, you're good. You're good. My thing is, I'm going to need people that call in about Dallas to stop trying to speak for everybody. Everybody doesn't want Dan Quinn as the head coach. I'm sorry. I know you guys, I'm going to just say it for you. Oh, no, let me say it for you.
Wait a minute. You're going to talk for us?
No, let me say it for you. I'm sorry.
You don't like Dan Quinn. Give it to us, Gary. What are the issues with DC, with DQ?
I think he's great. I think he's a good leader. But his defense for 3 years, in my opinion, has not been good. Every time when we go play the 49ers, I know our offense, that was all Kellen Moore. Our offense, let's just say Kellen Moore, because I couldn't stand him anyway. We did ridiculous plays at ridiculous times. But that defense, every time we play a decent quarterback that's a physical team, we get slapped around. Our defense is built that way. We asked Dan Quinn, what does he want in the draft? What can we do for you? How can we make this defense your defense? And every single year for the past 3 years, people that run the ball and they got a half-decent quarterback, they bully us around. And I'm tired of it. I do not want him to be the next head coach because then he's going to have to answer those questions. I think that's why he's kind of comfortable being just a defensive coordinator because he knows that every time we have those games, those defensive letdowns. And I'm tired of it. Now, I think he's great. I kind of like our defense against those mediocre teams because that's when we look good. But when we go up against these real teams, it's a problem. So I don't want that same thing to continue. I like Micah Parsons. He's made Dak look like an actual real quarterback. But I think if we don't do anything on these playoffs, let's just blow up the whole team if we're not going to bring Micah Parsons back. I don't want Dan Quinn as the head coach. I'm sorry.
Thank you for the call there, Gary. I mean, I
don't think they're firing Mike McCarthy, but that's
I don't
just
think
me.
so either. I mean, I hear your point there, Gary. I don't think the linebackers they need to improve. I think DQ's doing the best with what he's got. I don't know that he's finding ways to put his guys in position to succeed.
They tried to. Leighton Vander Esch unfortunately can't stay healthy.
Right.
Overshone gets hurt.
Yes.
In a preseason game. Where it's 6 plays and he makes 3 tackles.
Yeah, so I don't know.
So they're trying to. Could the linebacker group been different? Is Deone Clark coming? I mean, I admit it. LSU guy. I thought Deone Clark was going to be a better player. I think you're asking a lot of Bell to play down in the box. I think you're asking way too much.
Right.
Of him That's why I wanted to go out and get Shaq Leonard. Because I wanted to use Bell in a different role. I didn't want Bell playing in the box anymore, And then, and now when you get into that discussion, everybody's like, well, damn, Broaddus, what's wrong with Bell? Pro Football Focus has him as one of the top-rated linebackers. These are the reasons why. Because then somebody figures out, run the damn ball against this team.
Yes.
That's a problem. And you know what? You saw what small linebackers did for Buffalo tonight. How many times did they take the ball in the middle and have success? If Dallas was close in this game, if Dallas was close in this game, they could have kept running the football.
Tony Pollard played maybe the best he has all year.
And what happened? It was those linebackers, small linebackers.
Yes.
Talk to anybody in Buffalo. They'll tell you. The problems they have defending the run is with small linebackers.
Because they're doing the same thing. They're playing hybrid type of players.
Exactly.
But you hit the nail on the head there, because I don't know that DQ is wanting the undersized linebackers.
No.
They drafted big guys. Deone Clark's big. Overshown's got size.
Yeah.
They had LVE. These are three big linebackers
Yes.
just due to injury and Clark maybe not playing as well as they had hoped. They're relying on their safeties to do a lot of the linebacker work, and now Bell is having to play linebacker. And really, he's done a hell of a job, but you're right. He's in a disadvantage physically when he's got to go up against a team like that.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate what Bell has been able to do. But you know what? I'm looking at Bell like, okay, if I don't have to play him at linebacker, I could use him in other roles. I could use him in coverage. I could use him, as a real safety. I could, there's things you could do with him instead of him having to take on 318-pound guys, running the ball at him.
And a lot of texts are coming in talking about the defensive tackles. Look, the Cowboys made a trade for Jonathan Hankins. They drafted Mozzie in the first round. They've drafted Neville Gallimore. They have tried with defensive tackles. But today, how much of the success was right up the middle running the football for the Bills?
I don't think a lot of it was. So
that's not on your defensive tackles.
Well, but like I said, it's about like you need Osa to get up the field. You need guys to win and get up the field before, but they get up the field a couple of times and miss tackles.
They would, or the ball would get bounced outside. So to me, listen. It is. I don't think that Dan Quinn wants to play with a 216-pound linebacker. I just don't, but he's doing it out of necessity right there. I mean, listen, Dan Quinn, let's give Dan Quinn a little credit for this. Micah Parsons, all of a sudden, Tank Lawrence hurts his foot in a practice. He's got no pass rushers. None of us ever dreamed that Micah Parsons was going to be a guy that you call this in the same breath with Reggie White in his first 3 years for the number of sacks. Give him a little credit for that. Today, they got their ass handed to them. Today was not a good day at the office.
Today was not a good day.
Defense was bad. DQ was bad.
Yeah, and it was bad because their offense couldn't score enough points.
Yep, offense. The whole team was trash.
If it goes back and forth, you get away with it like you did in Seattle.
Sure.
Because all of a sudden, maybe somebody's going to make a stop.
But the one thing they've been the best at in the league is forcing turnovers. And unfortunately, today they weren't able to do that. I mean, you had the one that didn't get called a fumble, and unfortunately, you didn't get the challenge in.
No,
it would have been overturned.
They punched the ball loose. They punch it loose in the
and that was Marquise Bell.
And the coach has just got to call timeout. Just call if you're not sure if it's that close and there's question, call timeout.
Yep.
And then think about it.
But I get it. All criticism welcomed after the game today. No question. All right, we will continue with the phones. Let's go to Richard in Dallas. Richard, how you doing?
Yeah, for that little yellow thing.
All right, let's go to June in Fort Worth. June, what's going on? You're on the official postgame show of the Dallas Cowboys.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good.
I'm a big time Tolo.
Thank you.
I recently met you guys at the what was the spa place?
Oh,
Southern Leisure.
Southern Leisure
Spa, pure gold as always, guys. Hey,
thank you.
Hey, Bills just came out with the right game plan, dude. It's a bad weather. The Cowboys came out throwing the ball when they had no business doing so, and they should have been running the ball. Tony Pollard came out with aggression. He was mad. And obviously when you're down big, you have to throw the ball. After that, we were done. We were cooked.
Yeah.
We got young guys on in our secondary. Marquise Bell, everyone, we had no reason to, dude, we were done. We were cooked early. They should have been running the ball. Instead, they were throwing the ball early. I just want to hear what y'all got to say.
I don't think the weather was bad early in this game.
First half, I don't think it was bad.
I don't think it was bad at all. I don't. And the second half, maybe a little bit different. But, to me, you just didn't find a way to get open. That's what I'm looking at right now. I'm honestly cannot wait to see how these routes developed or were their guys open that they just maybe missed or how they were playing their coverage. But yeah, I think Tony Pollard to me was the one guy that came to play today. And if you had to lean on Tony Pollard today, I think you could have been okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
But the game didn't allow that.
Amen. With you. All right, we will finish off these calls. 877-881-1053. We'll put a bow on this one. Look at the rest of the NFL over this NFL Sunday. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
I'm Darren Woodson, former Dallas Cowboy player and Super Bowl champion. When I played in the NFL at a high
Up the middle, he breaks tackles, and he's got a first down.
Tony Pollard is our player of the game. If somebody came to play today, it was him. Of course, brought to you by Jack Black. Want to use with the pros? Use Jack Black as the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit getjackblack.com today. Tony Pollard, not a wild stat line because they couldn't run the football a ton with how big they were down, but 11 carries, 52 yards, averaged 4.7 a carry. Also added a couple of catches. I mean, Tony Pollard looked really, really good, and if this game could have been at least close, I think he would have been a big-time difference maker.
I think if this game was one of those where it came down to kind of a little bit of a back and forth or Dallas having to get a big play, I think Tony Pollard would probably been our player of the game. He was on that kind of a path when it came to running the ball. It's like he was to and through the line before Buffalo really had a time to react a couple of different times. I was really happy to see him be able to have that kind of success, because for a while there it looked like that it was kind of it was a rough early part of the season. He just didn't look healthy enough. Yeah,
I'm with you. The to and through the hole, as you always said, he was quick, he was decisive, and he was physical. And that's absolutely what you needed. All right, let's try and get through the rest of these calls. 30 seconds or less here, please. All right, we got Jeff in New York. Jeff, thank you for your patience, man. What do you got for us?
Hey, I know a couple other callers have discussed it, but, this Dan Quinn thing, we were not prepared for this game today. I mean, everybody on earth knew that Buffalo, I live right there, everybody knew that they were going to run the ball. What is this team doing in practice? I think we depend on, and I'd love to hear what Bryan has to say about this, I think we depend way too much on turnovers. You're not going to get 4 turnovers every game. Your offense isn't going to score 40 points a game. I mean, games like this, to me, was inexcusable. No adjustments. I don't know if they even did anything different at the half. They came right back out, and still they ran it down our throat. I would just like to hear what Bryan's thoughts are.
Thank you. We had an idea that they were going to try and run the football. I didn't know they were going to be that committed to running the football. I felt like that. I think Dallas's offense had really a lot to do with this today too. Because what happened, like we keep talking about, you needed to score points today. You needed to put some pressure on. Look at the games that Buffalo has lost, or the last, with Kansas City, Philadelphia, and all that. You were able to put pressure on them to have to kind of score along with you, and then that's where you get the turnovers from Josh Allen. Mm-hmm. And that just never materialized today. Adjustments, I don't know what adjustments you make other than putting 10 guys in the box and saying, okay, find a way, because they physically got manhandled today.
Yeah, and sometimes you got to look at the players. Like Jaron Kearse, you need to be better. Donovan Wilson, we needed you to be better.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, DeMarcus Lawrence certainly had a good play early. Maybe he wasn't the problem, but you count on him to set the edge, and the edge wasn't set today. Dorrance Armstrong, Fowler.
Anybody that lined up and played today for defense for Dallas needs to look.
Everyone's held accountable.
Everybody should, and that includes the defensive coordinator.
Sure.
But to me, the recipe is to beat Dallas. Play really good defense against their offense, limit to what you could do there, and just run the football. That's a problem for them to stop, because pass rush is what they feed on.
Yes.
They feed on the ability to create pressure.
And pressure is a privilege, right? As Dan Quinn has once said, today they didn't get the privilege to rush the passer because they couldn't stop the run. Let's go to John in California. John, you're on with Zach Wolchuk and Bryan Broaddus.
Gentlemen, thanks for having me on. Love the show. Bad game all the way around on both sides. The thing I want to talk about today is the play calling. A few years ago, Vic Fangio said it, and the standard, and so has the 49ers in every game, which is simply to press the receivers, play the 9 men within 4 yards of the line of scrimmage. Your safety's about 13 yards deep and a flat-footed technique, and they just compress the offense. They never adjust. The way to beat it is you have to bring your receivers in tight and run rub routes or run bunch sets. And every single game they run into, they never seem to adjust. Just wondering what you guys think about that.
No, man, I tell you what, man, that's the one thing through this winning streak that they just had. That was the one thing that I felt like that they do really, really well, was create route separation. Mm-hmm. When you're playing too deep, the way that Buffalo was just trying to keep everything underneath. I mean, Buffalo was just but like Zach says, they didn't attack anything in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
You know?
Which was a big surprise.
It was a really big surprise. So yeah, the routes, the rub routes, the picks, and all that. That's something Dallas has been actually doing pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Did we see it today? No.
We need to see a lot of.
But
what
we
they're
didn't see a
doing
lot
well
today. We didn't see a
Yeah.
lot of the offense today. I that's just a. But I'm looking forward to seeing what they tried to do.
Yeah.
Because the TV doesn't tell you. I mean, you see
You
replays.
can't see downfield.
You can't see what's going on because it looked like to me that there was some with that too deep they were bracketing some guys with CD a guy playing underneath and a guy playing over the top, but they Buffalo didn't give Dak because the way Dak was holding the ball, it appeared that he was having problems finding people open.
Let's go to Nate in Dallas. Nate, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on, guys? So the last couple of weeks, we've been on this win streak and all that, but I was telling my buddies the other day, I was like, the one thing that they haven't done to a respectable opponent is put their foot on their throat and really control a game. There was a small – it was a blowout, don't get me wrong tonight. But there was a small moment when you could have taken control of that game when it was getting out of hand, and they fell right on their face. So over the next couple of weeks, they need one thing only. Can you take control of a game no matter which way it's going? Going good for you, can you really assert yourself? Or if it's getting out of control, can you take a handle on this game?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the problem.
It's football, man.
Yeah, that's the problem with the middle eight. They had a chance right before half, and they didn't do anything, going in, and then they get the ball back in the start the second half.
Didn't do anything.
That's what you're talking about right there. That's where you could get back in the game. All of a sudden, you score going in, and Dallas has been pretty good going into the half.
They have been good going into the half. Yeah.
So all of a sudden, you score going into the
week.
half. Now it's a little bit different when you get the ball coming back out.
Yeah.
And then you get 14 points that way. Now your game looks a lot different.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Warren in Broken Bow. Warren, probably our last caller of the night, man. What do you got for us?
Yeah, man. Thanks for taking the call. I just want to know how concerned you guys are regarding the offensive line, especially with Zach Martin possibly missing some games with the injury today. Thank you.
Yeah, I think there's obviously some concern. I don't think that, you got the holding call from Tyler Smith, which was unfortunate, a big play right there, and then. But Buffalo's 4-man line, and then we'll see with the pressure and stuff, or any of the blitz and things. But I kind of felt like that Dallas was on their heels a little bit. But also, though, I think the coverage for Buffalo was so good that it allowed Buffalo's rush to get home.
Because there was time, like Dak would have time. He's trying to go through his progressions. He's got no one to throw to, and then eventually here comes the pressure.
And then comes the pressure.
And I'm a believer in T.J. Bass. Yeah. T.J. Bass isn't Zach Martin. Don't get me wrong. Not trying to say that. That's a future Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
But I think if T.J. Bass has to play for you in a game, and hopefully it's not more than that Martin misses, if at all, I think T.J. Bass can hold his own. Look, we saw it against Arizona. Like, their offensive line held up with 3 backup offensive linemen enough for you to be able to move the football. They just didn't execute well enough. The red zone interception. Mm-hmm. So I think they can survive it with T.J. Bass. But hopefully, it's not a long-term injury at all with Zach Martin. All right, at Sunday Night Football, it's 10-7. Baltimore leading Jacksonville, of course, tomorrow. All eyes will be on Monday Night Football. It will be Philly in Seattle taking on the Seahawks. Can Seattle give you a little bit of help there? Geno Smith questionable. Jalen Hurts also questionable due to illness, so we'll see who ends up quarterbacking both teams. Of course, if the Eagles win, then they secure first place in the NFC East, at least for the time being, and you're going to need some more help down the stretch. Right now, the Cowboys have clinched a playoff berth, as have the Eagles, and the 49ers, with their win today, clinched the NFC West. So that's kind of where you're looking at right now. Tampa Bay leading the NFC South at 7-7 since Atlanta got upset today by Carolina. So your trip right now, if the playoffs were to start, would be, again, to Tampa Bay for the wild card round of the postseason.
Man, watch them Rams.
Watch them. Ram it. Rams right now have the 7 seed at 7-7, so they'd have a date.
Could go beat the 2 seed.
Philadelphia right now. Yeah, that'd be a spicy matchup. All right, thank you very much to Peyton, of course, to Ross, to Chris, to everybody who's been a part of this one, to, of course, Eric Chiafalo did the pregame, Gavin Spittle, Tim Collins, to my partner, Brian Broaddus.
Thank you too, sir.
Love y'all. This one didn't go our way, but hopefully next week is a much better result in Miami. Cowboys will have another chance to prove it. I'm Zach Wolchuk. Until next week, hugs and hand pounds, everybody. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
People will always come and go in our lives, but we all know those few who never left, the ones who make you stronger, build you.